their morale has never been higher. But he also, when you talk to the acting ICE director, I heard him on Neil Cavuto's show, they've had over 200 people lose their lives trying to get across the desert. And if you talk about the percentage of women who are sexually assaulted as they're moved north, it is so cruel. And yet you have these liberal Democrats who think they're doing all these people such a great favor, but the human
years ago in Arizona on federal land saying, you know, warning, do not occupy this federal land to U.S. citizens because there was so much illegal and violent activity happening on our side of the border being committed by people in our country illegally. And it was Americans who were told to not be there.
Yeah, I think that there really is no reason. I agree with Eric on this. There's no reason for legal immigration to be as difficult as it is. Right. There's no reason why the number of green cards, et cetera, that are allowed are so low right now. There's no reason for that. And it's always better if we know who these people are and if we give them the opportunity to participate fully in society, have jobs, pay taxes, which is what they come here wanting to do, largely, on the large part. This is obviously a very sad story. I completely agree with you that he doesn't not know what's in his truck. That's one of the most ridiculous things that I've ever heard in my entire life. And he deserves a lot of blame for this, absolutely. Yes. Sanctuary cities, I just, you know, for me, it's just the constitutional issue of not having the federal government forcing the local police to do its bidding for them, which is not constitutional. But I think it has to center around legal immigration being made easier.
Yes. So I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire, Miss Ebony K. Williams.
Go for it.
You talked about over the last few years how many decades we've had this issue of broken immigration system.
Yes.
Well, we had a Bush, then we had a Clinton, then we had a Bush, and then we had an Obama. And frankly, none of them were very hard on immigration. Period. It wasn't. We had two Republican presidents in there who weren't hard on immigration. They were more maybe softer on immigration. But now we have a Trump in there, and look what's happened. Immigration at the southern border, depending on who you hear, down 53 to 70%.
Eric, I told you, I think President Trump is doing so well rhetorically on immigration that we could just leave it there. How about that? All right, up next, Democrats unveiling their better deal economic agenda today, trying to win back some of their voters. Is this just more of the same stale product in a new package? Stay with us.
Don't give it to you. Don't give it to you. Just watch. Don't believe me, just watch.
For years, I've trained dogs for the Marines. And like me, some of these dogs have seen many tours of duty. And for the past 15 years, I've been a Navy federal member. Thanks to their fast approval process, when it came time to buy a new car, we got everything we needed to transport my wife's little bundle of joy, who I just adore.
Open to the armed forces, the DoD, veterans, and their families. Navy Federal Credit Union.
As a Hall of Fame coach, I know it takes the right combination of ingredients to win championships. Synodrin, powered by Immunodrin, is the most complete joint health supplement on the market today, combining 6 leading ingredients to make the best formula possible. Whether you're a weekend warrior or on your feet all day, why settle for less? Have the best with Synodrin Complete Joint Health. Results guaranteed.
Visit Synodrin.com to find a Walgreens near you.
Mattress Firm announces our coolest sleep sale ever. Get Hampton & Rhodes Pillow Top Queen mattresses for just $209.99. Plus, get amazing daily deals on everything from free pillows to 50% off mattresses. Only at Mattress Firm.
I love kiwis. I've always had that issue with the seeds getting under my denture. Super Polygrip Free, it creates a seal of the dentures in my mouth.
Just a few dabs is clinically proven to seal out more food particles. Try Super Polygrip Free.
It's not just one of a kind. It's the first of its kind in the Caribbean. Introducing the new over-the-water villas. Far from ordinary, and now far closer than you ever imagined. Call 1-800-SANDALS.
Because life can sometimes be messy, we've got you covered. WeatherTech is the ultimate way to protect your ride. From bump step to cargo liners to seat protectors, along with floor liners that protect the front, back, and even up the sides. All to help keep those memories from being spoiled. Go to WeatherTech.com and order yours today. WeatherTech. Complete protection. Completely American-made.
Hello, this is ADT. Is everything okay?
I could hear crackling in the walls, and my mind went totally blank.
All I remember saying was, my boyfriend's beating me, and she took it from there.
When a fire is going on, you're running around, you're not thinking clearly, so they called the fire department for us.
And all of this occurred in 4 minutes or less.
Within 5 minutes.
I am absolutely grateful we all made it out safely.
It's kind of one of those things where you can't even thank somebody.
People you don't know actually care about you.
To protect what you love, call 1-800-ADT-CARES.
While everyone is talking about rising drug prices, Blink Health is doing something about it. Go to blinkhealth.com and save up to 95% on your prescriptions today.
Liberty Mutual stood with me when I was too busy with the kids to get a repair estimate. I just snapped a photo and got an estimate in 24 hours.
My insurance company definitely doesn't have that.
You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Welcome back to the Fox News Specialists. Our specialists today are Jason Chaffetz and Amy Holmes, and we will continue the conversation right now. Democrats may finally realize that their policies sell as well as expired deli meat or old milk. This week, they're unveiling their a better deal, that's what they call it, a better deal economic agenda to try and win over American workers. And if you heard Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer over the weekend, it sure sounded like Democrats were learning from all their failures.
Week after week, month after month, we're going to roll out specific pieces here that are quite different than the Democratic Party you heard in the past. We were too cautious. We were too namby-pamby. This is sharp, bold.
I didn't hear Russia in that. Anyway, how about that? Democrats are finally going to abandon the big government-loving anti-free market agenda that they've embraced ad nauseum for decades, right? Well, here's what they said during their official A Better Day kickoff today.
Giant corporations crush competition. They shut out small rivals and they kill young startups.
We must close those tax loopholes so big corporations pay their fair share, and we must stop big corporations from monopolizing and stifling competition.
We will raise the minimum wage to $15 per hour and make sure that every single American can have a living wage.
What? That's the better deal? Are you kidding me? It was a prank, right? Democrats, you're using the exact same language that you've been pushing, the exact same failed policies that you've been peddling longer than any of us care to remember. And this is your plan to gain the support of voters? We can't wait for midterms and 2020. Kat, can you help me decipher this? Chuck Schumer comes out with one thing saying this is a better deal, and then all these Democrats get out there and just peddle the same stuff.
Yeah, it's the exact same stuff. And you could say better deal. Do they mean better than themselves, or do they mean better than Republicans? Do they mean a better deal, like better than President Trump? Because if that's the case, then they'd be running on the exact same thing that they keep losing trying to run on, just trying to compare themselves to President Trump. But no, this is the same stuff as always. This isn't new. And it's not even catchy, too, which is also important. Imagine a hat that says a better deal. I'm not going to wear that.
Making America a better deal again. Ebony, buried inside this better deal?
Okay, I'm waiting for it.
Single-payer health care.
Okay, I got to shake my head, Eric, because you know I've been saying until the Dems get an economic message that resonates with the American people, they will lose, no matter how much the GOP gets in its own way. Here's the issue. Until the Dems, okay, you want to be successful, this is what you have to do. Stop demonizing economic success. Everybody in America wants to do well. Some people do better than others. That's called capitalism. What you need to do is come up with an economic policy that permits opportunity for all in this country, but you cannot win 2018 or 2020 by demonizing success, capitalism, or otherwise.
Congressman?
Kat's exactly right. Can you imagine people walking around with a better deal on their shirt? Look, there is a crisis of leadership. As long as they're putting up Nancy Pelosi to be the next Speaker of the House and Chuck Schumer to continue to run the United States Senate, they will continue to fail. But when I was a kid growing up, they had a little sign, a better deal. And my dad used to buy the worst meat, and it was this stale,
better deal meat.
It was these pork chops that me and my brother Alex never wanted to eat, and that's exactly what it reminds me of, and I don't ever want to go back there again.
Amy Holmes, some of these things sounded a lot like Bernie Sanders policies.
I was going to say a better deal. Is it lukewarm? Is it moist? I mean, these are just like really meaningless adjectives. Make America good again. I mean, that's not going to really...
better.
Yeah, it's better than it was. And it also ignores the fact that Democrats had President Obama for 8 years. They had the majority, and they didn't apparently deliver on this better deal. And the better deal is this rhetoric that we've been hearing from Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. And it's actually fairly radical. I mean, Ebony, what you're talking about is the Bill Clinton DLC Democrat model that was very successful. And in fact, when President Obama was campaigning, at least the first time around in 2008, he campaigned as a centrist. What these Democrats are talking about is a much more leftist, radical agenda.
Socialism.
Quite frankly, well, it's income redistribution, and they're constantly attacking, of course, income inequality by saying it's the rich people who are the problem.
By the way, Amy,
and not trying to raise people up.
Detrimental phrase. Income inequality. Get out of here. It's opportunity inequality.
And you know what I'm also not hearing, Ebony, is educational opportunity.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly right.
So I'll throw it out here. We only have about a minute, so anyone can take this. But Chuck Schumer said the Democrats lost in 2016. They lost to a guy with a 40% approval rating, not because of Russia or collusion, because they didn't have an economic message. Yeah. You don't know. You wouldn't know this if you're watching the mainstream media.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And they still kind of a better deal. Again, I'm never going to vote for or support anybody that doesn't support liberty. And it's just even more anti-liberty than normal. And I think that, Ebony, you're right. People want to do well. This is not a country where we're supposed to be demonizing success. That's not what we do here. So someone should let them know.
And I just got to say, I love that right now.
I know.
Right now, Kid Rock is outpolling Debbie Stabenow in Michigan.
He's going to be a senator.
Yes.
Kid Rock is 100% going to win. I'm from Michigan. Nobody likes Debbie. Nobody likes Debbie Stabenow. Nobody does. I'm calling it. He's going to win.
You're from Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Kid Rock. Will you call us tomorrow on the show?
Yeah, absolutely.
We get a phone call from
He's going to win. He's going to be a senator.
That's the question.
Yeah, fellow Detroiter.
All right, straight ahead. Viewer uproar over a much-hyped race between Michael Phelps and a great white shark proves to be anything but. Stay tuned.
Running down to the riptide, taken away to the dark side. I want to be your left-hand man. I love you when you're singing that song, and I got a lump in my throat.
This program is brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Mom, I have to tell you something.
Dad. 1 second I was driving, and then the next...
They just didn't stop, and then... I'm really sorry.
I wrecked the Subaru. I wrecked it.
You're okay. That's all that matters.
A lifetime commitment to getting them home safely. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Hi, so I just got off the phone with our Allstate agent, and I know that we have accident forgiveness. So the incredibly minor accident that I had tonight...
4 weeks without the car.
Okay, yep, good night.
With accident forgiveness, your rates won't go up just because of an accident. Switching to Allstate is worth it.
Home is where we find peace and quiet. But when you can't, trust Angie's List to help. Get started at angieslist.com today.
When it was time to sell our home, it was like everybody knew an agent.
What about your second cousin, Barry?
We were not going to list with your second cousin, Barry. That's when we found HomeLight.
HomeLight figured out which agents were best in our area, given their past performance.
Then they matched us with the right agent for our needs.
Our house closed in just 2 days, and with multiple offers above asking price.
Barry, they found their agent on HomeLight.
Home what?
HomeLight.com.
Watch Fox News Channel anytime, anywhere. Fox News Go.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, it would keep you up at night. Now SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. With its patented design, SoClean is fast, effective, and hands-free, killing 99.9% of all CPAP germs. Try SoClean now through this special TV offer free for 30 days. Just call 800-604-5270.
My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean works on all CPAP machines and popular masks, destroying CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs without the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. Just place your mask in, close the lid, and in just minutes, voila, sanitized and ready to use. Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. This is a limited time offer. Call now, 800-604-5270, or visit SoClean.com today.
Hi, I'm Joan London with A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. For the past 5 years, I've spoken with hundreds of families and visited senior care communities around the country. And I've got to tell you, today's senior living communities are better than ever. These days, there are amazing amenities like movie theaters, exercise rooms and swimming pools, public cafes, bars and bistros, even pet care services. And nobody understands your options like the advisors at A Place for Mom. These are local expert advisors that will partner with you to find the perfect place and determine the right level of care, whether that's just a helping hand or full-time memory care. Best of all, it's a free service. There is never any cost to you. Senior living has never been better, and there's never been an easier way to get great advice. Call today. A Place for Mom. You know your family. We know senior living. Together, we'll make the right choice.
Many viewers of last night's Michael Phelps versus Shark, Great Gold versus Great White, are outraged at the Discovery Channel. That's because the network wildly hyped the finale to its annual Shark Week like this.
It's man against beast. Can the greatest Olympian of all time outswim the king of the ocean?
I'm always somebody who believes that if you put your mind to absolutely anything, you can achieve anything.
Michael spent his life trying to become the most efficient swimmer, and he's now face to face with the most efficient swimmer.
Wow, I mean, who would want to miss that? In reality, after 57 minutes of absurd, mind-numbing build-up, viewers got this.
Clearly, we can't put Michael in one lane and a white shark on the far lane. You know, we're going to have to do a simulation, and we're going to use the speed data that we obtained from all of our testing in order to have him race against a white shark.
The great white shark takes the gold.
Can't believe the network behind fabricated mermaid documentaries would do this.
Boo.
Okay, the guy's right, though. The first thing you think is, wait a minute, how are you going to put a shark in a pool and, like, tell him to go? And then seeing as he does speak English, he'll know that means he can start swimming. I mean, do you really think about it?
I lost $50. Unbelievable.
No, I think the real suspense was he going to have the, you know, would he have the courage to actually dive in a swimming pool with a great white shark? And then would the great white shark eat him? I think that's what everyone was waiting for.
I don't think that's a courage thing. I think that's like an idiot thing, you know? I know statistically they don't eat you that enough like that much,
actually,
but that's not enough for me. If they eat anyone at all, then I don't want to go near them.
No, actually, I learned this from Shark Week from Discovery, that great whites, they don't eat you. They take an exploratory bite, but that kills you. So, so that's the real danger.
Yeah, I just feel like this is fake news, Kat. I'm really disappointed, you know? Right, this is just like a nothing burger, a nothing... I was really excited about it. I'm a big Michael Phelps fan. And this even had a British accent. I mean, you don't get any more authentic than that. And I'm just totally disappointed.
I was told, as Kat maybe alluded to, that they were going to use meat and to drag the shark in one direction.
Right.
And Phelps decided they were going to use weed to do it. And he was going to swim really fast.
You just won't let this
He is a family man. He is a father now. You can't make those.
But I don't know how you...
That was really good. I can't believe you said that. But I want my money back. This is, come on.
I guess, but I mean, it worked. People watched it. They thought it was going to be a shark.
Because they thought they were going to see a real shark.
The diss is that the hour-and-a-half lead up to it. If they just done it in like 30 minutes or maybe do 30 minutes of playtime, but everyone kind of knew this was going to
Listen, I thought they were going to put them like in separate tanks, like with glass between them, maybe.
There you go.
You know, and then like let them go.
Why do you think we tuned in? Because they were going to put Michael Phelps in a snake.
Yeah, I didn't tune in. I just saw that and I was
Come
like,
on, it's SeaWorld. They do it all the time, right? They get in with the killer shark. You know, come on.
The whales, not the sharks.
Although killer whales are dangerous too. I learned a lot at Shark Week, really.
Yeah, but
they're very dangerous
go
too.
to SeaWorld.
The real dangerous ones are hammerheads. You don't want to get anywhere near a hammerhead.
Yeah, everything's dangerous, everybody. Never go in the water.
Monaco is wondering if we jumped the shark.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that Shark Week's supposed to be about sharks are friendly and all that. But again, if there's sometimes
you believe
they'll
sharks
bite
are
you,
friendly?
People say that they're not really dangerous, but if they bite you, even like there's a chance, not really worth it for me.
No.
You know, I'll just. We're going to say goodbye here to our Fox News specialists today, Jason Chaffetz and Amy Holmes. We loved having you guys. That's because up next, we're debuting the show's newest segment called Wait, What? Don't go away.
What?
Wait, what?
Americans disagree on just about everything. Politics, religion, where to eat dinner. But we can agree on one thing. An IRA backed by gold feels more secure than an IRA backed by paper. Do you really want to build your retirement on paper? Hi, I'm William Devane, and IRAs are a great way to shelter your money. And an IRA backed by gold and silver from Roslyn Capital can give you that extra layer of protection, so your retirement can withstand the troubles of tomorrow. And if you already have an IRA, it's surprisingly easy to roll it over to an IRA backed by gold from Roslyn. You'll see how owning a gold IRA will give you that same sense of security as one of these babies. So ask yourself, are you safe?
Call now to get your free gold, silver, and IRA kits. Call 800-630-8900. 800-630-8900. 800-630-8900.
This is a story about mail and packages. And it's also a story about people. People who rely on us every day to deliver their dreams. They're handing us more than mail. They're handing us their business. And while we make more e-commerce deliveries to homes than anyone else in the country, we never forget that your business is our business. The United States Postal Service. Priority, you.
Now at the Honda Summerbration sales event, you can get a great deal on a Honda Fit and kick summer up to a whole new level. Make it a summer to remember at the Honda Summerbration sales event today. Hurry in and get a great deal on a Honda Fit from KBB.com's best value brand at your local Honda dealer.
Day 13. If only this were as easy as saving $600 when you switch to Progressive. Winds stirring, too treacherous for a selfie. Sure, I've taken discounts to new heights with as billing, but the prize at the top is worth every last breath. Here we go. Got him! Wait a minute. Whole wheat waffles?
Let's see why people everywhere are upgrading their water filter to Zero Water. Start with water that has a lot of dissolved solids. Pour it through Brita's two-stage filter. Dissolved solids remain? What if we filter it over and over? Oh dear. Water's 5-stage filter gets to all zeros the first time. So maybe it's time to upgrade. Get more out of your water. Get Zero Water.
I could tell right away ZipRecruiter was going to make hiring a lot easier.
Go to ZipRecruiter.com and post to over 100 job boards with one click. Then easily select the best candidates from one list. Try it for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/Fox.
Backpack? Check.
That's the family taking care of business.
Awesome notebook. Check.
But who takes care of them? Office Depot Office Max. This week, these composition books are just 25 cents each.
Taking care of business.
introducing a brand new segment today called Wait, What? So it's where Eric, Kat, and I share our eye or that we are passionate about. And I'm going to kick things off because July 24th, National Tequila Day. Who knew that?
Today.
Today. It's National Tequila Day.
Shots. Yeah, we should have had shots.
I tried, but I got pushed back from upstairs. So instead, I'm going to share with you guys and our audience watching Ebony K's signature margarita. So this is my tequila cocktail, my favorite way to have one. 2 ounces of Reposada tequila. You can do whatever kind. I put an ounce of a ginger liqueur, 3 wedges of a fresh squeezed lime, and then a splash of sparkling water. I prefer a salted rim. And you have a nice low-calorie summer cocktail that features a beautiful tequila.
Ooh.
It's really good, you guys.
Yeah, no, that looks good. I like it.
The sugar rim, right?
No, I do salt.
I like salt.
I do salt.
I like salt.
You know, got to keep it slim and trim, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be trying to sabotage bowling.
I shan't. I just can't believe we didn't bring shots.
I know. Next time.
Pretty lame.
Eric, what caught your eye?
Okay. So yesterday, I had the opportunity to go on ABC to sell the book a little bit. Sat down with George Stephanopoulos this week. A bunch of journalists and Roland Martin happened to be there, too. Take a look.
The Sessions thing is on his mind. When I spoke to him yesterday, he is concerned that, hey, he appointed Jeff Sessions. He shook his hand and said, you're the Attorney General.
Then how do you explain, Sarah Sanders, I want to move on to Roland. How do you explain the president has confidence in Jeff Sessions? From talking to you, from talking to Maggie Haberman, he does not have confidence in Jeff Sessions.
I didn't say he has confidence. He's frustrated that had he known that Jeff was going to recuse himself within days of being appointed over a handshake on a receiving line in a book event, that he probably wouldn't be the Attorney General.
I had a really nice time with him. I gotta tell you.
You looked great.
It was like
tie.
It was four not so loving Trumpers and me, and then Stephanopoulos. It was a good time, though. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I heard you did your thing. It was good.
Great stuff. Yeah, I saw it. I was like, Eric Bowling's on ABC? It's crazy. No, it's great. I agree with the tie. The pink was
that was a pink power tie. I mean, not here, but Sunday. Sunday's best, Eric. You're doing your Sunday's best.
Yeah. All right.
Kat?
Well, mine's a little sad. My favorite mayor died. Can we get a picture? Stubbs.
Yeah. Nice.
The mayor, Kitty Stubbs. This is an amazing inspiration to us all. He apparently jumped into a fry-on accident once. He's had a dog. That's not how he died. He's had a dog, and he's lived for 20 years. He's a 20-year-old cat.
By the way, are those your toes?
No, they're his toes. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. Their owners say that they're putting up another kitten that they also own for a new mayor, which I think they should. I think that this town should have a cat mayor for always, and maybe we all should have a cat mayor for always.
20 years. That's a long time for a cat, right?
Yeah, a really long time. This cat's amazing, so I'm just trying to give him credit where credit's due.
God bless you, Kat.
Stubbs.
R.I.P. Stubbs.
That's good.
R.I.P. Stubbs.
So that's all we've got time for today. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you follow us on social media at Specialist FNC on both Twitter and Facebook. And everybody remember, 5 o'clock will never be the same. Special report with Brett Baer up next.
For Senate Republicans, this is their chance to keep their promise. Over and over again, they said repeal and replace, repeal and replace.
Madam President, it means voting to proceed, and that will occur tomorrow.
The vote is on. This is a Fox News alert. I'm Brett Baer in Washington. The U.S. Senate is preparing to vote Tuesday to at least repeal Obamacare. And President Trump is lashing out at GOP senators who are wavering tonight, saying it is time to act. But the future of a plan to repeal and replace Obamacare remains uncertain. This on the same day the president's senior advisor and son-in-law makes a rare statement defending himself before a Senate committee on Capitol Hill and then to reporters outside the White House over his contacts with Russia.
The record and documents I have voluntarily provided will show that all of my actions were proper and occurred in the normal course of events of a very unique campaign.
More on Kushner's detailed defense today in just a few moments, but first, the president puts Republicans' feet to the fire over the stalled effort to repeal and replace Obamacare. In a short but pointed statement after meeting with people the White House called Obamacare victims, President Trump decried Democrats for passing what he says was a big, fat, ugly lie, and then turned on Republicans, accusing them of not doing their job and something they've promised for 7 years. But Congress isn't the only one facing harsh words from the commander-in-chief. President Trump also called out his attorney general on Twitter, saying Jeff Sessions is beleaguered. We have Fox team coverage. Correspondent Peter Ducey is on Capitol Hill, where senators face that Tuesday vote to start debate on a health care bill. But we begin with correspondent Kevin Cork, who's traveling with the president tonight in West Virginia, where President Trump is scheduled to speak in just a few minutes. Good evening, Kevin.
Hey there, Brett. You're right about that. Listen, whether he is at home or here on the road in the mountain state of West Virginia, the president is obviously content calling out those he feels like are standing in the way of his health care agenda. And in many instances, that includes members of his very own party.
Now it is up to us to get great health care for the American people. We must repeal and replace Obamacare now.
In an effort to steer the public conversation away from the Russia investigation and back toward health care, President Trump today met with a group of Americans who believe they have been hurt by the Affordable Care Act.
Behind me today, we have real American families, great families, just spent a lot of time with them, who are suffering because 7 years ago a small group of politicians and special interests in Washington engineered a government takeover of health care. Every pledge that Washington Democrats made to pass that bill turned out to be a lie. It was a big, fat, ugly lie.
Today's meeting came just hours after Mr. Trump warned Republican lawmakers that there would be repercussions if they failed to act on health care reform. Republicans have a last chance to do the right thing on repeal and replace after years of talking and campaigning on it. That tweet won in a series about health care over the past week, each meant to ratchet up the pressure on Senate Republicans to repeal and replace Obamacare.
To every member of the Senate, I say this: the American people have waited long enough. There's been enough talk and no action. Now is the time for action. Any senator who votes against starting debate is telling America that you are fine with the Obamacare nightmare, which is what it is.
While health care reform has consumed much of the president's social media of late, increasingly he's turning his attention toward Attorney General Jeff Sessions, whom the president has previously criticized for recusing himself from the Russia investigation. So why aren't the committees and investigators, and of course our beleaguered AG, looking into crooked Hillary's crimes and Russia relations? This, as new White House communications chief Anthony Scaramucci is warning that the leaks that have beset the Trump administration from the very beginning will end on his watch, or else.
They're going to get fired. I'm just going to make it very, very clear. If you're going to keep leaking, I'm going to fire everybody. It's just very binary.
Scaramucci also rejected the notion that the president may be looking into the option of pardoning himself as a result of the ongoing Russia probe.
I'm in the Oval Office with the president last week. We're talking about that. He says he brought that up. He says, but he doesn't have to be pardoned. The president does not need to pardon himself. And the reason he doesn't need to pardon himself is he hasn't done anything wrong.
Brett, just within the hour, we expect the president to speak. Jamboree, becoming the 8th sitting U.S. president to do that, just down the road to pitch in Glen Jean. Then tomorrow it is off to the Buckeye State of Ohio for a big rally where once again healthcare is expected to be front and center. Brett?
Took a live look there. Glen Jean, West Virginia. We'll dip in when the president talks. Kevin, thank you. It's not just the summer heat getting to Washington. Tensions are running high in the middle of what many see as growing fighting within the Republican Party that could derail efforts to get health care, a repeal and replace bill, to the president's desk. And as you saw, even the president seems to be out of patience. Correspondent Peter Ducey reports from Capitol Hill tonight on the next steps that even tonight are shrouded in mystery.
By this time tomorrow, senators will be asked to vote on a health care measure that could help or hurt their odds of midterms. But very few know what the bill will actually end up looking like, because the motion to proceed will be on the bill that passed the House in May, and it's about to undergo a major makeover.
I'd expect maybe 100 amendments. Democrats will bring amendments. You know, President Trump said make it more generous, and done that.
To get to that amendment stage, Republicans must first succeed with a motion to proceed. To do that, Senator Susan says she'll only vote to take a step backwards.
If there were a motion to proceed to a resolution sending the bills back to committee, then I would be for that approach.
While Senator John McCain is absent, Republicans can only afford one no vote if they want to move forward on health care. But Senator Collins isn't just listening to Republicans anymore. Today, she met with a Democratic Senator, Joe Manchin.
Susan Collins met today. I'm here working on that. I just think we have to find a pathway forward.
Another Republican senator warned his party's leaders he'll vote no if he's asked to vote on the most recent Senate bill. Senator Rand Paul writes in The Hill, quote, "I won't be a part of that. I won't vote for it, and if that's the bill the leadership intends to turn to, I won't vote to proceed to the floor. It's that simple." And pressure isn't just coming in-house, but also from the White House, with President Trump tweeting, quote, "Very sad that Republicans, even some that were carried over the line on my back, do very little to protect their president." Ultimately, tweets like that one are noticed, but they aren't seen by senators as the most important part of the president's involvement.
We had a meeting at the White House with the president. I thought it was a very productive lunch on Wednesday. We need to get to 50 votes. We're continuing to work on this. The president has been.
There's late word tonight that Senator John McCain may return here to vote tomorrow. The Arizona senator has been home recovering from brain surgery, but the top Republican vote counter, Senator John Cornyn of Texas, said late this afternoon that leadership final whether or not McCain's travel arrangements have been approved. Brett.
Peter Ducey live on the Hill. Peter, thank you. The president's senior advisor and son-in-law says he did not collude with Russia. Jared Kushner was the first of President Trump's inner circle to answer questions before Senate investigators today. And even though the meeting was behind closed doors, Kushner made sure to get his side of the story out in public. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge is on the Hill tonight with what we learned from Kushner today.
Let me be very clear. I did not collude with Russia, nor do I know of anyone else in the campaign who did so.
Fresh off the heels of his Capitol Hill appearance, Jared Kushner was adamant his 4 meetings with Russian officials last year were inconsequential.
I had no improper contacts. I have not relied on Russian funds for my businesses.
In this 11-page statement for the record, Kushner provided new details about a meeting with then-Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak and other diplomats on the sidelines of this April 2016 campaign event at Washington, D.C.'s Mayflower Hotel. Quote, "Each exchange lasted less than a minute. Some gave me their business cards and invited me to lunch at their embassies. Took them up on any of these invitations, and that was the extent of the interactions." After the election, claimed he had forgotten Kislyak's name. In December, he agreed to meet with the Russian ambassador, along with incoming National Advisor Mike Flynn, to do a call with Russian military commanders on the ground in Syria because of the ongoing crisis. But Kushner said the call was abandoned because of logistics, and he denied media reports he suggested a secret communications back channel. On the June 2016 Trump Tower meeting with Donald Trump Jr. and then-campaign chairman Paul Manafort, a Russian lawyer and others connected to Moscow, Kushner said he came late and the conversation was about adoption, not allegations involving Hillary Clinton. Quote, "The meeting was a waste of our time and that, in looking for a polite way to leave and get back to my work, I actually emailed an assistant from the meeting after I had been there for 10 or so minutes and wrote, 'Can you please call me on my cell? Need excuse to get out of meeting.'" And just days before the presidential election, Kushner said he received a random email from an account, Guccifer400, threatening to reveal candidate Trump's tax returns and demanding money in exchange for not publicizing the information. Quote, "I brought the email to the attention of a U.S. Secret Service agent on the plane we were all traveling on and asked what he thought. He advised me to ignore it and not to reply, which is what I did. The sender never contacted me again." Some Democratic lawmakers say Kushner needs to do more to assuage their concerns.
What was released publicly, in my view, was lawyerly. It was incomplete, and I think it is extremely important that this witness testify in public.
Fox News confirming late today that Jared Kushner will be back on the Hill tomorrow before the House Intelligence Committee. Unlike today, he will be meeting with staffers as well as lawmakers. The session tomorrow will also be closed to the public, and it's expected to last 2 hours. Brett.
Catherine Harris, live on the Hill. Catherine, thank you. How could Jared Kushner's testimony today affect the Russia investigation going forward? Senior political analyst Britt Hume joins us with some thoughts on that. Good evening, Britt.
Hi, Brett.
It was pretty detailed.
It was pretty detailed. It was pretty specific. And I noticed with some interest that Senator Wyden there was saying it was lawyerly. It certainly was, and it was no doubt carefully lawyered as well. Bear in mind that Jared Kushner is now represented by one of the sharpest criminal defense lawyers in town. That would be Abby Lowell. Now, this behavior of his, volunteering to come forward, volunteering to testify, issuing a detailed 11-page statement ahead of any testimony, is not the kind of thing any smart defense lawyer would ask you to do unless he, the lawyer, were pretty convinced that you were telling the truth and could back it up. Otherwise, you're exposing your client to the potential of a perjury prosecution. So this is the kind of move that under normal circumstances risky. So what you get here then is a guy coming forward, bringing all this information forward, obviously carefully gone through and gone over by him and his lawyers to make sure that, you know, all I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and the rest of it. It's an unusual strategy, and it suggests to me that, you know, you'd never let your client do this if you thought he were guilty of anything, and if the statements weren't true. Yes, he's going to end up testifying all right, but we now have a sense of, I think, of what he'll say, and I would be surprised Senator Wyden would find much more to, I mean, he can ask a million questions, but I'm not sure how much farther he can go with Jared Kushner, at least.
Yeah, I mean, we should point out today was not under oath behind closed doors, but it was.
But once you submit that to a committee, you're locked in. That is when you're called to testify. That is what you're going to have to testify to, or you will have already changed your story, and that's obviously an untenable situation to be in.
So if we are to take all of the details in that 11-page report on Facebook and change the dynamic going forward for the rest.
It suggests to me that the Jared Kushner piece of this, maybe in terms of a lead towards some collusion conspiracy, maybe a blind alley. Now, that doesn't mean that there weren't others involved in the campaign who did things that Kushner either didn't know or involved in. I mean, it doesn't completely clean the slate, but it suggests. He says not only did he say he was not involved in any collusion, he said he didn't know anybody who was. Now, as close as he is to the inner circle with Mr. Trump, then candidate Trump, you kind of would have to believe that if it was going on, he'd have known about it. And if he knew about it, he's not going to put forward a statement that's going to end up being under oath that says he didn't know anything about it. So right. I just think that this statement, more than most this is not, as you point out, Brett, some blanket, vague statement of innocence of the kind you get from people who are in trouble. This is something very different. It just strikes me that it's entitled to a measure of credence.
And if you did say something that was not true, you're out on a limb.
You're in trouble, and no good lawyer will let you do that.
Brett, as always, thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
10 months after Democrats lost the presidential election, the party is trying to regroup and find a way to beat the grand old party next time around. Today, they rolled out a new plan they hope could be the building block for future success. Chief Washington correspondent James Rosen reports.
A $1 trillion infrastructure program creating 15 million jobs, lower prescription drug costs with expanded access to the minimum wage and paid family leave, and a 21st century trust buster to police big business.
Democrats are unified.
In unveiling their latest agenda entitled A Better Deal, congressional Democrats sought to bring focus to a party sharply divided 2016 between Hillary Clinton's establishmentarian Goldman Sachs wing and Bernie Sanders' insurgent army of anti-globalists.
Better jobs, better wages, a better future. A better deal is founded on strong values that we share, strong values fueled by fresh ideas.
The Republican National Committee pronounced the Democrats' fresh ideas recycled talking points. Beyond dispute is that the Democrats have lost a series of recent special elections, the latest setbacks in a prolonged slump summed up by the party's chairman.
When you look back at the last 10 years, we've lost roughly 900 seats in state legislatures. We had 60 Democrats in the Senate when Barack Obama took office. We have 48 now. We had 30 or so governors in 09. We're in the teens now, and the list goes on.
One new ingredient in the Democrats' messaging is their jettisoning of the claims still proffered by Mrs. Clinton. It was the conduct of FBI Director James Comey, or the Russians, or WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, or all of the above that sank her campaign.
President Trump campaigned on a populist platform, talking to working people. That's why he won.
Schumer was even more blunt, telling the Washington Post, when you lose to somebody who has 40% popularity, you don't blame other things. Russia, you blame yourself.
No matter what you do, it all comes down to who's the leader. You can't do anything unless you have a leader that people like.
The so-called autopsy Republicans produced after Mitt Romney's defeat called for greater outreach to women and Latinos, two groups Donald Trump lost big to the White House. That victory offers a cautionary word about the value of all these postmortems and post-election rebranding efforts, Brett.
James, thanks. More on this with the panel. A major roadblock into the investigation of a major cybersecurity breach of the House Democrats' campaign could finally be giving in and giving up her laptop for examining. Fox News has learned that former party chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz is in talks now to allow investigators to search her computer as part of a probe into allegations of computer theft, overbilling, and possible email hacking of House Democrats. Senior Capitol Hill producer Chad Pergram joins us live now with details on this case. Good evening, Chad.
Good evening.
Let's go back to the beginning. Who are authorities probing? What are they looking into here?
U.S. Capitol Police, the FBI, and the U.S. Attorney's Office are looking at a series of Pakistani IT workers who worked for House Democrats, including Debbie Wasserman Schultz. At the root of this, Brett, this is a procurement scandal. They're looking into whether or not they overbilled for laptops and iPads and keyboards and things like that. And there's also some question as to whether or not some sensitive information was put into the cloud from House servers. So that's the core of this. House Democrats who employed some of these IT workers, they fired them, but Debbie Wasserman Schultz has still retained Imran Alwan on her staff. He has not been back on the House servers, so basically he's getting paid for doing nothing right now. These folks have worked for House Democrats in IT for years. Of thousands of dollars. There are some Democratic sources who I've spoken with who've indicated that this is a railroad based just on their ethnicity. And Alwan, I should point out, he declared bankruptcy several years ago.
So why is this taking so long? We've been hearing about this drips and drabs for a long time.
Right, and this is getting under the skin of some lawmakers from both sides of the aisle who want prosecutors to fish or cut bait. Part of it is because there's so much equipment that they're sorting through and so many receipts, and each time they find something new, well, it takes them down another rabbit hole here. But they want some clarity on this very soon. I should point out that there was an unrelated case not too long ago where they indicted two former House staffers, and that took 51 weeks. So this just came out in February. So I'm told that there are probably going to be some criminal charges at some point in this, but it's very unclear if and when it would ever get to that point. One important issue, too, is the computer belonging to Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She had quite a tete-a-tete with Matt Verderosa, who's the U.S. Capitol Police Chief, some weeks ago at a hearing. That computer is something that investigators want to look at. To be clear here, Debbie Wasserman Schultz is not under investigation, but there's something, Brett, in the Constitution called the Speech and Debate Clause. Article 1, Section 6 prohibits authorities from going into the official papers, and in this case, a computer, of lawmakers that deal with their official business. She says she wants it back. She's not implicated in this whatsoever. And at the hearing, Matt Verderosa said that there were, quote, extenuating circumstances.
Yeah, and let's just, to be clear quickly, is this tied to the DNC hack?
Yeah, and that's something that I have asked repeatedly about since February, and I have been repeatedly shooed away from that assertion.
Okay. Chad Pergram, live on the Hill. Chad, thank you. By the way, Chad is the most followed by lawmakers on Capitol Hill on Twitter, at Chad Pergram. A death trap on 18 wheels coming up, a horrific case of human smuggling in Texas, and a driver who says he didn't know. And later, the parents of little Charlie Gard make a heartbreaking decision in a medical case that captured the world's attention.
As a Hall of Fame coach, I know it takes the right combination of ingredients to win championships. Synodrin, powered by Immunodrin, is the most complete joint health supplement on the market today, combining 6 leading ingredients to make the best formula possible. Whether you're a weekend warrior or on your feet all day, why settle for less? Have the best with Synodrin Complete Joint Health, Results guaranteed.
Visit Centerton.com to find a Walgreens near you.
Why do we insist on 100% Alaskan whitefish? Why do we always hand dip in our famous batter, cook it to golden perfection, and serve it with fries for just $1.99? Because at Long John Silver's, we think you deserve more for $1.99.
Right here, Dad.
The Infiniti QX60. Impressive performance and seating for 7. Right now, lease the QX60 for $439 a month at your local Infiniti retailer.
Knock out your sinus symptoms with Vicks Sinex. The ultrafine mist starts working instantly to deliver up to 12 hours of get fast relief with Vicks Sinex.
I'm Andy, and I lost 30 pounds on Nutrisystem.
Listen up, guys. Want to shed a few pounds? Got a beer belly? Then you need Nutrisystem for men.
I lost 43 pounds on Nutrisystem.
Lose 15 pounds in your first month and 7 inches overall. Lose weight fast, money back guarantee. Put down the pie and go to drop15now.com and get new NutriCrush bars to crush cravings free and turbo shakes to bust that gut free.
You eat the food, you lose the weight.
Visit drop15now.com and get Nutrisystem for men with bars and shakes free.
Every weeknight.
All of a sudden, you're not allowed to ask sincere questions.
For unmatched insight, powerful opinion, and must-see debate, you have to watch Tucker Carlson Tonight, weeknights at 8.
The sun used to make our outdoor deck and patio space so hot and uncomfortable, we couldn't use it.
But then we discovered the Sunsetter retractable awning. Our Sunsetter retractable awning opens and closes in just 60 seconds. It keeps our patio about 20 degrees cooler.
It provides instant shade and instant protection from the sun's harmful rays.
And our Sunsetter costs under $700.
But now you can get your Sunsetter for as little as $599 when you call now to get this special $200 discount certificate and free awning idea kit.
We love our Sunsetter retractable awning, and you're going to love yours too.
Sunsetter awnings are assembled in America and guaranteed to last for years. So call now to get this free awning idea kit with DVD, plus your $200 Sunsetter discount certificate.
But this is a limited time offer.
Call now.
Call now for your free awning idea kit with DVD and $200 discount certificate. There's no obligation.
A Florida man is facing the possibility of life in prison after investigators charge him with the smuggling of nearly 100 people in the back of a sweltering semi-truck. 10 of those people packed inside that truck died, and police say that death toll could still rise tonight. Correspondent Casey Stiegel reports on the case from our Dallas bureau tonight.
These people were in that trailer without any signs of any type of water.
As outside temperatures soared above triple digits, witnesses say up to 100 illegal immigrants were crammed in the back of this semi riding from Laredo to Houston. Court documents say the victims struggled to get fresh air from a single hole in the trailer's wall because they were locked in with no air conditioning.
This happens quite frequently. Fortunately, came across this one.
Authorities made the discovery in the San Antonio Walmart's parking lot after an employee noticed people in distress and searching for water. When the police arrived, 8 victims were already dead. 2 more died at the hospital. More than 20 were transported in critical condition.
In some way, I prayed. I just wanted to know that we cared. We cared about them.
While the community gathered to hold prayer vigils for the victims and their family members, federal law enforcement and immigration officials interviewed this man. Prosecutors now believe 60-year-old James Matthew Bradley Jr. of Clearwater, Florida, was behind the wheel of that semi. Today, he made his first court appearance before a federal judge. Bradley claims he did not know he was transporting human cargo.
This is not by happenstance. This is organized. That's why we have to shut down that safe haven for people to come here illegally.
The lieutenant governor of Texas wasting no time to bring politics into the discussion, saying this is why sanctuary cities like San Antonio need to be shut down. Acting ICE Director Thomas Homan released this statement, which reads in part, "By any standard, the horrific crime uncovered ranks as a stark reminder of why human smuggling networks must be pursued, caught, and punished." Police tracked down the owner of the truck, who says he sold it to a man in Mexico recently, and that Bradley was supposed to be dropping it off this past weekend. Brett?
Casey Stiegel in Dallas. Casey, thank you. A mixed bag on Wall Street to start the week. The Dow was down 67. The S&P 500 was off nearly 3. The Nasdaq finished up 23. Senior Pentagon officials say the pilot of a Navy surveillance plane had to take evasive action to avoid colliding with a Chinese fighter jet in the East China Sea. 2 armed Chinese fighter jets buzzed that plane Sunday. U.S. commanders say the behavior was uncharacteristic of the Chinese military. It comes just days after the U.S. Navy's top admiral called his Chinese counterpart to discuss next steps in putting pressure on North Korea. Up next, the parents of Charlie Gard take the decision over his medical care out of the court's hands.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need cash? You need to know about the New Day 100 Home Loan for Veterans. It lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, not just 80%. And that can mean a lot more money for you and your family. With our military service, veterans like us have earned a valuable VA benefit, the right to apply for a VA home loan. The New Day 100 VA loan lets you refinance your mortgages, consolidate your credit card debt, put cash in the bank, and lower your payments an average of $640 a month. And New Day will even pay your appraisal fee. That could save you up to $500 or more. So call New Day USA. They look at your whole financial picture, not just your credit score. And they'll do everything they possibly can to get you approved. Call them today and get the financial peace of mind every veteran deserves.
Go to newdayusa.com or call 1-855-419-8331.
Known for its spectacular shoreline, charming seaside villages, and of course the world's most famous seafood, New England offers the perfect summer cruise. With American Cruise Lines, on a grand New England cruise, you'll visit the 9 most beautiful ports in New England, including Newport, Martha's Vineyard, and the Maine coast. You'll be the first to sail on American Cruise Line's brand new ship, American Constellation. In your spacious stateroom, a private balcony offers breathtaking views, while our gracious onboard staff ensures that your voyage will be unforgettable. Begin your journey today. Visit AmericanCruiseLines.com or call for a free cruise guide.
Who can help you undo the damage done by fire or water? Search no further than the experts at ServiceMaster Restore, who have the experience and know-how to make your home feel whole again. For 65 years, we've helped people go from disaster to done. ServiceMaster Restore.
Today, we're finally getting our bathtub redone. We weren't happy with it.
But we didn't want the headaches of demolition.
Or the days without our bathroom. Then a friend told us about Bath Fitter and their unique tub-over-tub process. There's no demolition, and they install in as little as a day. They also have a seamless wall for a watertight fit. And Bath Fitter has a lifetime guarantee. What a difference. Finally, a bathtub I love.
Call today or learn more at bathfitter.com.
The Taliban is claiming responsibility for a suicide bombing in Afghanistan this morning that killed at least 24 people. That attack comes as President Trump's administration continues to weigh its strategy in Afghanistan, where U.S. troops have been for nearly 17 years. Senior Foreign Affairs correspondent Greg Palcott reports.
Smoke over Kabul again. An explosive-filled car rammed into a bus filled with government workers in the Afghan capital. The suicide bomber left at least 24 dead, over 40 wounded. Vehicles and shops destroyed. Civilians were among those hurt, including women and children.
You could see bodies scattered everywhere. Several shops were on fire. It was horrific. Everyone was trying to run away.
Taliban claimed responsibility for the carnage, saying intelligence agents were victims. Afghan officials denied that, but do admit the death toll following this and other attacks across the country is growing. Nearly 1,700 civilians killed this year. The UN weighed in.
The deliberate targeting of civilians constitutes a grave violation of human rights and international humanitarian law and may constitute a war crime.
All of this as the U.S. is weighing sending more troops to the country. Some 8,500 are there now, well down from earlier levels, serving in an advisory role. Afghan security forces often seem overwhelmed by Taliban fighters. Insurgents overran districts outside of the capital recently.
Our enemies will shake with fear.
While pledging total victory in military matters at the commissioning Saturday of a new aircraft carrier, President Trump is still reportedly uncertain about sending additional troops to a conflict raging for some 16 years.
People are going to say, if after 16 years of helping the Afghans, we still haven't gotten them to a point where they can take on the Taliban, why would a few thousand more U.S. troops or U.S. and NATO troops make any difference whatsoever?
Brookings Institute's Michael O'Hanlon does note, however, that Kabul hasn't fallen yet. A reason perhaps for the U.S. to hang in there, despite Taliban atrocities like the one seen today. Brett.
Greg Palcott in London. Greg, thank you. Breaking tonight, Israel has agreed to remove metal detectors from the entrances to Jerusalem's holy site that angered Muslims. The move comes after Jordan's King Abdullah and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke by phone in an effort to diffuse tensions surrounding the Temple Mount. Israel put up the detectors following an attack in which 2 Israeli police officers were killed at that site. It was a case that captured the attention of President Trump and even Pope Francis. But tonight, the parents of 11-month-old Charlie Gard are ending their court battle to get experimental treatment for their critically ill son outside of Great Britain. Correspondent Benjamin Hall reports from London tonight on the parents' decision to, as they say, let Charlie go.
We will let our son go and be with the angels.
Charlie Gard's parents have called this the hardest decision they've ever had to take after what will be their final appearance in a British courtroom.
As Charlie's devoted and loving parents, we have decided that it's no longer in Charlie's best interests to pursue treatment.
The news came as a surprise to many supporters who had gathered outside, but additional scans which took place last week showed that damage to Charlie's muscles and tissue was now irreversible, and crucially, he also had irreversible brain damage. According to Charlie's parents, despite this prognosis, though, Dr. Michio Harano, the US specialist who came to examine Charlie last week, was still willing to treat him, though with less hope of success. They claim there's only one reason his muscles had deteriorated to this extent: time wasting. Charlie was born with mitochondrial depletion syndrome, a rare genetic disease, and has been fighting for months.
Tragically, having had Charlie's medical notes reviewed by independent experts, we now know, had Charlie been given the treatment sooner, he would have had the potential to be a normal, healthy little boy.
The hospital that has been treating him disputes this, and in a written statement maintained that further treatment would have hurt Charlie. Other specialists agreed.
I think it's really rather wicked to give the parents the idea that somehow, had they been treated earlier, had this little baby been treated earlier, it would have made a difference. That is actually not our experience with this sort of disease.
Charlie Gard will now be taken off life support and will pass away soon afterwards. There remain huge ethical, moral, medical and legal implications here. Not least, who has the right to choose a child's care? Is it the parents or is it the state? And now a big debate is whether or not all this legal wrangling cost precious time. After all, the parents had been asking for treatment since last November. Brett?
This is a Fox News alert. President Trump is on the road speaking before the 2017 National Scout Jamboree in Glen Jean, West Virginia. This is also streaming live on foxnews.com. As we head to break, getting ready for the panel, let's listen in to President Trump speaking to the Boy Scouts.
Scouting possible. Thank you, Mom and Dad, troop leaders. When you volunteer for the Boy Scouts, you are not only shaping young lives, you are shaping the future of America. The United States has no better citizens than its Boy Scouts. No better. The values, traditions, and skills you learn here will serve you throughout your lives. And just as importantly, they will serve your families, your cities, and in the future and in the present will serve your country. The Scouts believe in putting America first. You know, I go to Washington and I see all these politicians. And I see the swamp, and it's not a good place. In fact, today I said we ought to change it from the word swamp to the word cesspool, or perhaps to the word sewer. But it's not good. Not good. And I see what's going on, and believe me, I'd much rather be with you. That I can tell you. I'll tell you the reason that I love this and the reason that I really wanted to be here is because as president, I rely on former Boy Scouts every single day, and so do the American people. It's amazing how many Boy Scouts we have at the highest level of our great government. Many of my top advisors in the White House were Scouts. 10 members of my cabinet were Scouts. Can you believe that? 10. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is not only a Boy Scout, he's your former national president. The Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence, good guy, was a Scout, and it meant so much to him. Some of you here tonight might even have camped out in this yard when Mike was the governor of Indiana, but the scouting was very, very important. And by the way, where are our Indiana Scouts tonight? I wonder if the...
Hi. When you clock out, I'll clock in, sensing and automatically adjusting to your every move. There. I can even warm these. Does your bed do that? I'm the new Sleep Number 360 smart bed. Let's meet at a Sleep Number store.
Introducing new Parodontax, the toothpaste that helps prevent bleeding gums. If you spit blood when you brush or floss, you may have gum problems and could be on the journey to much worse. Help stop the journey of gum disease. Try new Parodontax toothpaste.
Stitch Fix is a personal styling service. They pick out all the styles that you love and even give you pieces that you never thought that you would wear.
I can never find my sizes sometimes when I'm at the store. It's nice to know that the clothes are actually going to fit me.
It's so fun, so easy. The box comes right to your door, so you don't have to go anywhere.
I rarely get to the store, so if the store comes to me, that's even better.
No shipping costs, and I just saved myself a ton of time.
Now I have more than one pair of pants.
I'm Andy, and I lost 30 pounds on Nutrisystem.
Listen up, guys. Want to shed a few pounds? Got a beer belly? Then you need Nutrisystem for men.
I lost 43 pounds on Nutrisystem.
Lose 15 pounds in your first month and 7 inches overall. Lose weight fast, money back guarantee. Put down the pie and go to drop15now.com and get new Nutri-Crush bars to crush cravings free and turbo shakes to bust that gut free.
You eat the food, you lose the weight.
Visit drop15now.com and get Nutrisystem for men with bars and shakes free.
The day after chemo might mean a trip back to the doctor's office, just for a shot. But why go back there when you can stay home with Neulasta Onpro?
Strong chemo can put you at risk of serious infection, which could be home. Neulasta is for certain cancer patients receiving strong chemotherapy. Do not take Neulasta if you're allergic to Neulasta or Neupogen, filgrastim. Ruptured spleen, sometimes fatal, as well as serious lung problems, allergic reactions, kidney injuries, and capillary leak syndrome have occurred. Report abdominal or shoulder tip pain, trouble breathing, or allergic reactions to your doctor right away. In patients with sickle cell disorders, serious, sometimes fatal crises can occur. The most common side effect is bone and muscle ache.
So why go back there? If you'd rather be home, ask your doctor about Neulasta Onpro.
When a fire is going on, you're not thinking clearly, so they called the fire department for us.
I could hear crackling in the walls. My mind went totally blank. All I remember saying was, my boyfriend's beating me, and he took it from there.
And all of this occurred in 4 minutes or less.
I am grateful we all made it out safely.
People you don't know care about you. It's kind of one of those things where you can't even thank somebody.
To protect what you love, call 1-800-ADT-CARES.
Let me be very clear. I did not collude with Russia, nor do I know of anyone else in the campaign who did so. I had no improper contacts. I have not relied on Russian funds for my businesses. And I have been fully transparent in providing all requested information. Donald Trump had a better message and ran a smarter campaign, and that is why he won. Suggesting otherwise ridicules those who voted for him.
We don't often hear from Jared Kushner, but he was speaking to reporters outside the White House today after talking behind closed doors to the Senate Intelligence Committee. He will do so with the House Intelligence Committee tomorrow. His father-in-law and the man he works for as a senior advisor tweeted yesterday, as the phony Russian witch hunt continues, two groups are laughing at this excuse for a lost election taking hold, Democrats and Russians. Drain the swamp should be changed to drain the sewer. You heard that in his Boy Scout speech just moments ago. It's actually much worse than anyone ever thought. It begins with the fake news. And so why aren't the committees and investigators, and of course our beleaguered AG, Attorney General, looking into crooked Hillary's crimes and Russia relations? We'll start there with our panel. Molly Hemingway, senior editor at The Federalist. Charles Lane, opinion writer for The Washington Post, and syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer. Okay, Molly.
I thought the most interesting thing that Kushner said was right there at the end when he said that this Russia conspiracy storyline that's being pushed ridicules Trump voters and makes it seem like they didn't know what they were voting for. I think this was a good day for Jared Kushner. It's a good day for people who don't think there's a lot to this Russia conspiracy story. And it was not what we might have anticipated a couple weeks ago when news first broke of that meeting. There's also another thing, though, which is that obviously Jared Kushner is not ground zero of the Russia conspiracy. But if people are interested in Russian meddling in the election, I think they need to start looking more at Fusion GPS, which is the Democratic opposition research firm that's run by a bunch of former Wall Street Journal reporters who were behind the dossier. They had ties to this meeting. They were running interference for the company that was involved in the sanctions. So there still is stuff to explore.
And he is not going to testify. He is taking the fifth, I guess.
He actually just told a bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee that he will refuse to answer questions about his dealings with Russia. So this could heat up.
Chuck, also the president tweeted today after 1 year of investigation with zero evidence being found, Chuck Schumer just stated that the Democrats should blame ourselves, not Russia. He's referring to the Senate Minority Leader talking to the Washington Post, saying when you lose to somebody who has 40% popularity, you don't blame other things. Comey, Russia, you blame yourself. So what did we do wrong? People didn't know what we stood for, just that we were against Trump and still believe that. I mean, that was quite a statement that he kind of reiterated today in this Democratic rollout of a new message.
Chuck Schumer was saying publicly there something a lot of Democrats say privately, and have been saying privately ever since they lost the election. The more forthright of them, that, you know, the Democrats should never have lost this election to somebody like Donald Trump. But for many reasons, many of which were their own fault, they did. And so now what's happening is, in the middle of this, scandal or whatever it is about Russia, some of the senior people in the party and their pollsters and focus group people are getting together and trying to learn some lessons from that and pivot to a positive message aiming toward winning back some seats in November of 2018. Perhaps the bad news from their point of view is what they actually produced today was pretty tentative and talked about things that are very familiar: infrastructure, minimum wage, nothing really very new. And I thought it was interesting there was nothing in it about trade. Obviously, that's an issue that divides the party, because Bernie Sanders has a position almost like Donald Trump, but Hillary, of course, is more of a free trader, and they haven't resolved that internally. So here's this huge issue that really played favorably for Trump in the election, and they haven't reformulated.
Yeah, I mean, it still splits the party. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, others siding almost with Donald Trump. Your thoughts back on Jared Kushner and the detailed statement he puts out. Britt referenced it earlier, saying that if you're going to do that, you have to be pretty solid on what you're putting out there.
I thought it was a very effective statement. Look, his defense essentially is that I was a naive, inexperienced, careless at times, clueless at times, a rookie in all this. And to me, it rings true. It's not the greatest of defenses. It's not exactly the one you want to go to, but you have to in this case. And I think he comes out as a guy who's being fairly open about what he did. There are a few phrases in there that are very lawyerly, like, I never relied on Russian funds in my business. Is an interesting word, implying there might have been loans or other stuff we don't know about. But overall, I thought it was a good statement, and it looks like he's clean. As for Sessions, I said on Friday he was a wounded man walking. I would revise that after the tweet today about from Trump. I think he's a extremely dangerously wounded man walking, and I think it's only now a matter of time. The only reason possibly for Trump to refer to the AG the way he did is that he wants his resignation. And it seems to me he'll get it fairly soon.
Well, it doesn't. There was a rumor that the president wanted Rudy Giuliani and that he was considering him again. Giuliani said that that's not true, and Sessions says he's planning on staying on. Molly, I just want to go back to the Democrats and the rephrasing of this rollout. And what do you think that means?
I think it showed that they really do understand they have a problem with working class voters. For a lot of people in their minds, when they think of the Democratic Party, they're thinking of fringe elements, the pink hats at the Women's March or rioters in the street. And that's not very attractive to a lot of middle American voters who were persuaded by Trump. At the same time, I think they need to have a much stronger message than what they put out. It sort of compares unfavorably to what Donald Trump is already doing with his strong defense of America and the average American worker. But it is suggesting that they see that they need to fix things.
Next up, Republicans are under pressure over health care. The president telling them to start doing their job. But will that work? A vote tomorrow. Our panel weighs in next.
This is a story about mail and packages. And it's also a story about people. People who rely on us every day to deliver their dreams. They're handing us more than mail. They're handing us their business. And while we make more e-commerce deliveries to homes than anyone else in the country, we never forget that your business is our business. The United States Postal Service. Priority, you.
Chances are, the last time you got a home loan, you got robbed. I know. I got a loan 20 years ago, and I got robbed. That's why I started LendingTree, the only place you can compare up to 5 real offers side by side for free. It's like shopping for hotels online, but our average customer can save $20,000. At LendingTree, you know you're getting the best deal. So take the power back and come to LendingTree.com. Because at LendingTree, when banks compete, you win.
Tonight, all eyes on the White House. Will the staff shakeups improve the president's relationship with the media, or will it get worse? Newt Gingrich weighs in, only on The Story.
Hi, I'm Joan London with A Place for Mom. Every day we hear from families who partnered with a senior living advisor from A Place for Mom to help find the perfect place for their mom or dad.
Thank you so much for your assistance in helping us find a place. Mom feels safe and comfortable and has met many wonderful residents and staffers.
Thank you for helping our family find our father a new home. We especially appreciate the information about the VA Aid and Attendance Program.
I feel I found the right place, a perfect fit. You were my angel and helped guide me every step of the way. Thank you.
The Senior Living Advisors at A Place for Mom partner with thousands of families every month, listening and offering local knowledge and advice to help find the best senior living communities across the country. And it won't cost you a cent. This is a free service. Call today. A Place for Mom. You know your family. We know senior living. Together, we'll make the right choice.
Look, Grandpa.
Wow, what a monster.
No, it's you.
Thank you, VSP.
Love every masterpiece with a variety of lens enhancements. Grandma? With VSP individual vision plans. See better for life for less.
This is our device. Grandma, look.
Wow.
Grandma, there's another one.
Thank you, VSP. See the wonder. Keep your eye health the top priority with a VSP individual vision plan. That's a beautiful See one. better for life for less.
Not again. I'm always in the bunker. Thank you, VSP.
Follow through with the same vision plan employers offer direct to you. VSP individual vision plans. See better for life for less. Wow, thank you, VSP. See stunning views with Vision Care's lowest out-of-pocket costs. Call quick or ask your broker for a VSP individual vision plan today.
By the way, you gonna get the votes? He better get them. He better get them. Oh, he better. Otherwise, I'll say, Tom, you're fired. I'll get somebody.
That was just moments ago at that Boy Scout speech. He's talking about Tom Price, his Secretary of HHS, if he doesn't get the votes in the U.S. Senate, as the president continues to talk, and again, it's streaming live on FoxNews.com. Earlier today, the president holding an event at the White House where he also pressed GOP senators.
Any senator who votes against starting debate is telling America that you are fine with the Obamacare nightmare, which is what it is. For Democrats, this vote is a chance to make up for the terrible harm they have inflicted on Americans. And for Senate Republicans, this is their chance to keep their promise.
I know many of us have waited literally years for this moment to finally arrive. And at long last, it has. I would urge every colleague to join me.
So the Senate vote is scheduled for 2 o'clock in the afternoon, roughly, maybe sometime before 3 tomorrow. Now, Senator John McCain is said to be getting an MRI tonight to see if he is okay to travel. If he is, this, of course, related to the diagnosis of brain cancer. If he is okay to travel, he may very well travel and drive or fly. But if he drives, it's 33 hours, so he'd have to take off tonight. But that's what the status of play is as we're counting heads up on the U.S. Senate. We're back with the panel. Charles.
Look, there's something heroic and dramatic about McCain doing that, but there's an easier way around this, and I would suggest to Susan Collins or to Rand Paul to say that they're going to vote the way McCain would vote. They would take his proxy, even though everybody understands they oppose proceeding to the debate, as a way to say you don't have to get on a plane. I think if you're after surgery in the brain, you don't really want the pressure changes of going up and down on an airplane. He really shouldn't do this. I mean, if it was life and death and the fate of the Republic hung on it, it's a war and peace vote. But there's a very easy way to do this, which is one of those who oppose is to take his proxy. It's very easy to do. It should be done.
And we should point out this first vote is to start debate on the bill that then opens up amendments that can go a lot of different places.
They call it a vote-a-rama, I think, sometimes. Well, this is a variation on that. It's interesting the role the president is starting to play on this. He's now doing something that a lot of the Republicans on the Hill have been kind of demanding that he do, which is start putting his political capital on the line here in terms of supporting a bill. And it's also no coincidence he went and did it in West Virginia, where one of the senators, Senator Capito, is a big swing vote in this. And West Virginia is also a state, according to the latest Gallup poll, where he enjoys his highest popularity, 60%. So he has some clout there. And furthermore, it's an interesting state because you have a lot of people who are on Medicaid, who benefited, who are not victims of this nightmare, but who got a Medicaid benefit out of Obamacare. And yet he's going to try and sell them on repeal.
And also I think it's helping that Republicans are realizing that failure to handle this situation is endangering their ability to do anything with their agenda, and that's going to be very important in the year to come. They're not going to be able to get anything done on tax reform, which is absolutely important for the midterm elections, until they deal with this. I think they might have thought that Trump would take the entire blame for a failure to deal with it, but if they thought that, they no longer do, probably.
It's a mystery tonight what exactly they're going to be voting on, and senators are waiting to see, and also waiting to see if there's a Congressional Budget Office score that comes out. We will cover all elements of it and have live coverage tomorrow of the U.S. Senate vote. When we come back, a tiny tot with some major skills.
As a Hall of Fame coach, I know it takes the right combination of ingredients to win championships. Synodrin, powered by Immunodrin, is the most complete joint health supplement on the market today, combining 6 leading ingredients to make the best formula possible. Whether you're a weekend warrior or on your feet all day, why settle for less? Have the best with Synodrin Complete Joint Health. Results guaranteed.
Visit Synodrin.com to find a Walgreens near you.
Where are we? About to see Progressive's new Home Quote Explorer, where you can compare multiple quote options online and choose what's right for you.
Whoa.
Flo and Jamie here to see HQX. Flo and Jamie, request entry. Slovakia, Triceratops, Tapioca, Racquetball, Staccato,
Me llamo Jaime.
Pumpernickel, Pudding.
Hey guys.
Home Quote Explorer. It's home insurance made easy.
That's what it is. Hey guys.
Forge of Empires. Develop your own city from the Stone Age to the future. Available in the App Store and at FOE.tv. Forge of Empires. Play now.
People would ask me in different countries that we traveled, what is your nationality? And I would always answer Hispanic. So when I got my Ancestry DNA results, it was a shocker. I'm everything. I'm from all nations. I would look at forms now and wonder, what do I mark? Because I'm everything, and I marked other.
Discover the story only your DNA can tell. Order your kit now at AncestryDNA.com.
I love Ebates. I have made $511.34.
I've made close to $2,000. Ebates is a website with thousands of stores that I shop through, and they pay me to shop.
And then I receive a check in the mail just for shopping, which is something I would have done anyway.
There's no hassles, no gimmicks, nothing. Sign up for Ebates, get cash back. It's awesome.
Sign up for free, shop at your favorite stores, get paid. Join today and get a $10 bonus at ebates.com.
Your father and I are looking for a new car.
Car shopping. You're gonna need a guru.
Guru? You can't own the deal until you own you. Are you ready to own you?
Not that kind of guru. Car Gurus. Car Gurus analyzes everything from price and vehicle history to dealer reputation, then shows you the best deals from top-rated dealers.
Feel the deal, Alice.
Car Gurus. Search 5 million cars in about 5 seconds. Find great deals at cargurus.com.
Finally tonight, something uplifting. Check out this future basketball star, 2-year-old Jet of Odessa, Texas. Watch this. He's already hitting these shots. Look at this. Oh, wow. His dad shared this video on YouTube. It's getting tons of views. Nailing long-distance shots behind the couch, standing on the counter, one-handed. Watch this one. Boom. His dad says his interest in basketball peaked after watching YouTube videos of people making similar baskets, and now he's on his way to becoming a basketball master. There you go. Thanks for inviting us into your home tonight. That's it for this special report. Fair, balanced, and unafraid. The story with Martha McCallum starts right now.
Breaking tonight, let's take you live to the scene in Glen Jean, West Virginia, where President Trump is addressing the Boy Scouts Jamboree. Let's listen in. It's been pretty interesting so far.
We're going to be bringing back very soon trillions of dollars from companies that can't get their money back into this country, and that money is going to be used to help rebuild America. We're doing things that nobody ever thought was possible, and we've just started. It's just the beginning, believe me. You know, in the Boy Scouts, you learn right from wrong, correct? You learn to contribute to your communities, to take pride in your nation, and to seek out opportunities to serve. You pledge to help other people at all times. In the Scout Oath, you pledge on your honor to do your best and to do your duty to God and your country. And by the way, under the Trump administration, you'll be saying Merry Christmas again when you go shopping, believe me. Merry Christmas. They've been downplaying that little beautiful phrase. You're going to be saying Merry Christmas again, folks. But the words duty, country, and God are beautiful words. In other words, basically what you're doing is you're pledging to be a great American patriot. For more than a century, that is exactly what our Boy Scouts have been. Last year, you gave more than 15 million hours of service to helping people in your communities. Incredible. That's an incredible step. All of you here tonight will contribute more than 100,000 hours of service by the end of this jamboree. 100,000. When natural disaster strikes, when people face hardship, when the beauty and glory of our outdoor spaces must be restored and taken care of, America turns to the Boy Scouts because we know that the Boy Scouts never, ever, ever let us down.
All right. Good evening, everybody. That's the president. As we said, he is in West Virginia tonight at the Boy Scouts Jamboree, which happens every 4 years. I'm Martha McCallum, and here is a very interesting story for this Monday night. Watch.
A scout is trustworthy, loyal. We could use some more loyalty, I will tell you that.
So was that yet another message today for one Jeff Sessions? The president started the day with this tweet earlier, asking why the beleaguered AG, as you see in the text of this, is not digging in to Hillary Clinton and her ties to Russia. Then on Air Force One later this evening, Anthony Scaramucci said that Trump and Sessions need to, quote, speak and determine what the future of the relationship is. So you're going to hear in a moment from Laura Trump, who is head of the Trump re-election effort, on Mr. Sessions' fate in a moment as well, so stick around for that. But what about the question of Robert Mueller? The president also continues to put periodic doubt into whether or not he believes that the special counsel has conflicts of interest that may make a case to remove him. So is the president putting the old band back together at the White House? Rudy Giuliani was spotted on a flight today to D.C. He has shut down some of those discussions, but there are also reports that Newt Gingrich may take a bigger role. So he's here in a moment, live on the story tonight. But first, Chief National Correspondent Ed Henry, who has been watching the Boy Scout Jamboree with me live in New York tonight. It's never boring in the Trump White House, Ed.
Good to see you, Martha.
You
and
too.
What's interesting is that over the last 24 hours, the president has pulled no punches aimed at friend and foe alike. Today, as you mentioned, tweeting against the former opponent, he still calls Crooked Hillary and offered a new nickname for one of the many Democrats investigating Russia, Sleazy Adam Schiff, he said. But the commander-in-chief, who today also rallied support for the efforts to repeal and replace Obamacare by declaring Republicans have not done their job and may end up feeling the wrath of voters, now seems to be also getting restless with some key members of his own staff and cabinet. Important to note, talk of the demise of top aides like Steve Bannon and Chief of Staff Reince Priebus has been predicted by the mainstream media practically since hour one of the administration, and they are still standing. But various officials suggesting to us these two one-time rivals now becoming friends by default, trying to figure out how to survive. Remember, by bringing in Anthony Scaramucci, the president overruled both Bannon and Priebus. Politico reporting that while Bannon used to be in the Oval Office most of the day, he now spends hour after hour camped out at Priebus's conference table. Axios reporting of Priebus, quote, Reince has very few true allies inside the building. At this point, they don't stretch much further than his personal assistant and the Republican National Committee holdovers on the press team. In fact, a source close to the president told me the key here is that in recent days, presidential son-in-law Jared Kushner has increasingly become a sharp critic of Priebus in private. So watch that. Meanwhile, two officials at the State Department insisting to Fox tonight there's no truth to a CNN report the Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is thinking about leaving by the end of the year. Though one of these sources admits Tillerson has been very frustrated in the post. Meanwhile, the speculation literally all over the map, as you said, about Jeff Sessions. After that beleaguered tweet, one rumor claiming Rudy Giuliani was replacing him, the former mayor insisting no, he's not interested in the job. And in fact, he agrees with Sessions on the decision to recuse himself from the Russia investigation. Then social media going nuts with another rumor that Sessions was spotted at the White House and maybe he resigned at lunch. Our Justice Department producer, Jake Gibson, reporting actually Sessions met with the White House counsel, Don McGahn, and the Health Secretary, Tom Price, on health care issues. So the bottom line here is, Martha, yes, there's still a lot of speculation about who's in and who's out, but we've been hearing this month after month, and the president has still remained firmly in control, and very few of these rumors and all the rest have really panned out.
Yeah, and we have seen in the past that sometimes it takes him a while if he's thinking about maybe getting rid of someone. Sometimes it's just talk. Sometimes
and he doesn't like to fire them, actually. And in the case of Sean Spicer, he resigns. In the case of Reince Priebus,
he's a softie.
He lets people, and he pushes until they leave.
You know, I mean, it raises a lot of questions. Jeff Sessions has been one of the people who has overseen some of the most successful efforts of the administration, and yet there are some serious questions about whether or not he should have recused. Did he buckle on that, and was that the wrong thing to do?
This president, more than anything, values street fighters around him. And so I'm also told by a source close to the president that one of the reasons why he brought in Anthony Scaramucci is exactly what you said about Robert Mueller. The possibility, underline the word possibility, that Mueller could be fired. He wants the president, I'm told by this source, wants street fighters around him, ready to make the case on those conflict of interest and ready to fight with this president to the death on the idea that he believes he's been treated unfairly. He may be wrong about that. He may be right about that. I'm a reporter reporting the facts about what people around him are saying. I'm not taking a position on it. But the fact of the matter is this president is still very angry about Mueller and angry about Sessions, his own attorney general.
He sure seems to be. Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Good to see you tonight. So President Trump and his lawyers are raising some new questions that Ed and I just discussed a bit over whether Robert Mueller will remain as the special counsel on the investigation into the alleged Trump campaign collusion, which we heard about from Jared Kushner today as well. Last week, the president claimed that Mr. Mueller has conflicts of interest. His lawyer added yesterday that this is something that they are watching very closely. Listen to this.
What the president's talking about, that in due time, if there's in fact a conflict that the legal team deems is significant enough that it needs to be raised, as any lawyer would do, we would raise the conflict with the special counsel.
Jonathan Turley, renowned constitutional law attorney and professor at George Washington Law School. Jonathan, good evening. Good to see you tonight.
Hi, Martha.
It's interesting when you follow the Trump administration, you see sort of these little markers being put down in certain areas, and the argument is being perhaps touched on, constructed at some level that there's a conflict of interest with Robert Mueller. How difficult is that ground, and should they be going in that direction, do you think?
It's very difficult. I'm one of the people that actually has raised the issue of the conflicts with Mueller. I think Mueller's appointment was a mistake by Rod Rosenstein because of his history with Comey. But more importantly, he interviewed for Comey's job, and that probably should have taken him off the list. But these conflicts, in terms of appointing people that have made contributions, are not going to be successful at the Department of Justice. They're not the grounds for that type of radical change. They're allowed to make those political contributions. I'm astonished that he picked people that made large political contributions. You can throw a stick on any corner in D.C. and hit 20 lawyers. It seems to me that Mueller could have picked people that were not so politically involved. But having said that, you're not going to see a change, I think, through the Department of Justice. Now, when you're talking about firing Mueller, he could probably do that. It would put him in the biggest jam since Taft got stuck in the White House bathtub. I mean, it is a really bad idea, because think about how this would work, Martha. He couldn't talk to Sessions because Sessions recused himself. He would go to Rosenstein, who appointed Mueller, and say, fire him. Rosenstein presumably would say no, and he would either be fired himself or resign. Then the president would have to find a sort of Bob Bork who's willing to do what Rosenstein wouldn't do. You could go through that leadership having resignation after resignation. In the meantime, people would cite that as a basis for impeachment. They would move to try to pass the Independent Counsel Act. It wouldn't end this. It would prolong it.
So I just want to put up on the screen a quote from President Trump, and this was in that New York Times interview that he did a Friday ago. He said, "We were interviewing replacements at the FBI. Did you know Mueller was one of the people that was being interviewed? The next day, he's appointed special counsel." Talk about conflicts, the president said. "There were many other conflicts that I haven't said, but I will at some point." That's a loaded statement.
Well, frankly, Mr. President, you should just tell us. But I happen to agree with him that Mueller's selection was highly problematic. Mueller, on some level, is a witness. I can't believe that he was interviewed for Comey's job and the president didn't talk about his firing of Comey or what he wanted in Comey's replacement. He's holding material information to his own investigation. That's a very odd person to select as special counsel. So the president could be right about that. But in terms of firing Mueller, it would bring a great deal of hurt down that mountain, and it would not be to the advantage of the administration.
Well, that's going to be a question that they're going to have to weigh if they keep going down this road, how much hurt they're willing to take on. He's also made it very clear that he doesn't want this investigation to start going into areas where he feels are not the purview of the Russia investigation, and that's something I know his lawyers are watching very closely as well. Jonathan Turley, thank you very much. Always good to see you, Jonathan. So President Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner met with Senate aides today in a closed-door hearing. Tomorrow he will do the same with members on the House side. This was earlier. Jared Kushner, the advisor to the president, outside the White House. Watch.
Let me be very clear. I did not collude with Russia, nor do I know of anyone else in the campaign who did so. I had no improper contacts. I have not relied on Russian funds for my businesses. And I have been fully transparent in providing all requested information.
Joining me now in an exclusive interview is Congressman Trey Gowdy, who sits on the House committee where that will happen tomorrow. Those discussions behind closed doors with Jared Kushner. So good to see you, Congressman,
yes,
as always. Thanks for coming back on the show. So were you surprised that he made public comments today?
I wasn't. He's not a public person. I think this would be among his first public comments, but you can only be accused of something for so long. Human nature is such that you want to defend yourself.
So in terms of the statement that he put out, you'll be questioning him about the contents of that and likely other things tomorrow. What stood out to you? What do you want to achieve tomorrow in that back and forth?
Well, first of all, Martha, this is exactly the way serious investigations are supposed to be conducted. You examine a witness, you cross-examine the witness, you look for corroboration or contradiction. You don't use anonymous sources and selective leaks and prejudge the outcome. So what's happening tomorrow, us interviewing a witness, is exactly what we should be doing. His statement is helpful. It provides a roadmap. I have additional questions both based on what he said and things that were not said in his 11-page statement. But for those who are not used to seeing the way investigations are supposed to be run, this is how they're supposed to be done.
So in terms of what's in that 11-page statement, which has been out there all, throughout the course of the day today, and everybody's had a chance to read it, he talks about the meeting with Don Jr., and he really says, I didn't read the email chain with regard to that meeting, and all it said on my calendar was, that I had a meeting at that time with Don Jr. So he basically says he walked into the room and kind of got sucked into a meeting that he didn't really want to be at, and that he texted his assistant and said, looking for sort of a polite way to get out of it because he felt that it was a waste of time, in his words. Do you find that credible?
I do, and that's exactly why it is important to conduct investigations. There is corroboration for what he said. What he said was, I didn't know what the meeting was about, and as soon as I got into it, I realized I'm in the wrong place. So he sent 2 separate emails saying, can you please call me so I can have an excuse to get out of this meeting? So that's what I mean by corroboration. The fact that he didn't remember the name of the Russian ambassador until November the 9th, that is corroboration. That's what you're looking for in investigations, a statement, and it's either corroborated or contradicted. In this case, it's corroborated.
Yeah, and the moment that you just talked about is he called the Russian embassy and said, what's the name of the Russian ambassador, because he was trying to put together his notes and all these forms. He also pointed out that he had a couple of, he describes them as sort of chance meetings along the way. But he said, I was invited to have lunch at these ambassadors. And he's not just talking about his interactions with Russians. He's talking about all the foreign people who reached out to him when his father-in-law was elected. Does that whole argument hold water? He says, I didn't put in any of those in the forms that got pulled too early. And so I went back and corrected them all.
I'm going to ask him about that tomorrow. He said it was inadvertently sent, and he corrected it the next day. If you look at we have his call list. If you look at calls he was going to make, it was to representatives of lots of different countries. So that's why you need the documents. That's why you have to have the back and forth with the witness. That's why you don't let California congressmen prejudge the outcome of investigations. That's why we're talking to him tomorrow. So if there is a benign explanation, or if the Democrats want to assert a less than benign explanation, tomorrow is the day to do it.
But what do you say to those who say, why does this have to happen behind closed doors? Why not let him have his moment in front of everybody and, speak his piece?
Because members of Congress cannot behave themselves in public settings. And every serious investigation, you can't think of one that's not done behind closed doors. You don't have a clue who Bob Mueller's talking to. I don't know who he's talking to. You're not supposed to know. You don't know who the sheriff in your home county is talking to about the latest armed robbery. Serious investigations are done without time limits and frequently without the political posturing that you see in this town. I mean, stop and think, Martha. We have anonymous sources, we have selective leaks, and then we have members of Congress prejudging the outcome of the investigation. That's why this is not serious. So praise the Lord that we're actually doing one thing tomorrow that very vaguely resembles a serious investigation. No time limits behind closed doors.
Congressman Trey Gowdy, thank you very much. Good to see you, sir.
You too.
So as you heard earlier, senior advisor and son-in-law to President Trump, Jared Kushner, we were just discussing it, fired back today after 2 hours of questioning from Senate investigators. Mr. Kushner and Donald Trump Jr. are 2 members of the president's family at the center of this part of this whole investigation in the Russia issue. Both are speaking to Congress this week. So earlier today, I sat down with Laura Trump about the family's state of mind with all of this. Watch. It's good to see you, Laura. Welcome today.
Thank you.
So Jared Kushner, I think a lot of people had never heard him speak before he went out there today. He's very private. He's very behind the scenes. Why has the family made the decision that he should go public at this point?
Well, I think that was up to Jared. Listen, you're right. Jared has never sought out the limelight. He's a very humble individual, but he played a big role in the campaign. He obviously plays a huge role in the administration. And I think for the entire family, this whole notion that there was any collusion with Russia is so ridiculous. Jared wanted to clarify and be as transparent as possible, which is exactly what you saw happen today. And I think he did a great job of that. You know, he's told the committee everything he knows. He's handed over all documents he has. And you saw the same thing happen with my brother-in-law, Don Jr. You know, he put out on Twitter the entire email back and forth because transparency is very important to us. And so I really commend both of them for the fact that nobody used BleachBit, nobody deleted emails, nobody destroyed, you know, cell phones with hammers. We're being very upfront with this because we want the world to know there was no collusion.
You know, there's a lot of discussion out there about the intrigue in the White House and that everybody has their own lawyers and their own team and that they are sort of like islands existing in the middle of this storm. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I would disagree with that. I think we're very cohesive as a family unit. And I think, you know, listen, it does feel like the world is against us right now, but we're all standing strong. And sure, people may have different lawyers, but we're all the same family. We worked incredibly hard, Martha, on this campaign. And you actually heard it right there from Jared. You know, the idea that there was anything other than the president's message, than the fact that he ran a better campaign, that he was a better candidate that won this election for him is quite frankly insulting to the American voters, because what they saw in him is what we see today in him as president, that he's leading this country, and you know, we're finally going in the right direction.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because we're seeing some shuffle. We saw Sean Spicer leave last week. You've got a new director of communications in Anthony Scaramucci. Is there a feeling among the family that the people who were loyalists during the campaign deserve a more front row seat to the president, that they deserve to be on the team, and that some of these more establishment folks, for lack of a better description, maybe are not serving him that well?
I just think Donald Trump is being Donald Trump. He's a businessman. He's run a business his whole life, and when something isn't working, he changes it. And Sean Spicer is an incredible guy, and he did a great job, but he felt like maybe someone else could carry that message better. And so, you know, whether it is a person who is incredibly loyal to the campaign or just a different individual, Donald Trump wants what works for him, for this country.
He called the Attorney General his beleaguered AG today. Does he want him to leave? Jeff Sessions?
Listen, I think that he's made his stance on Jeff Sessions very clear. I think he could have done things differently himself, but I think, you know, that remains to be seen what happens with him. But what I'll tell you is my father-in-law is a very loyal individual, and he is very loyal to people who are loyal to him. And when he feels like somebody isn't doing a good job or is not being loyal, he's going to correct that. And I think that's what we've seen in the White House so far.
Laura Trump, good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Interesting to speak with her earlier today. So here now to weigh in on all of this tonight, former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, author of the #1 best-selling book for the New York Times bestseller list, also a Fox News contributor. Newt, good evening. Good to see you tonight.
It's good to see you.
So tell me a little bit about, you know, we've been through a lot of discussion about Jeff Sessions, first of all, and the president has made sort of a couple, you know, not so subtle digs at him over the course of today. So let's start there. Do you think that his days are numbered?
No, I'd be very surprised. Look, Sessions was the first senator to endorse Trump. I remember the very first meeting Callista and I went to, which Don McGahn hosted, but Jeff Sessions chaired it when almost no one was for Trump in Washington. Sessions stayed with Trump when he was 10 points behind during the whole taping of the conversation, you know, about sex and all that stuff. Jeff Sessions has been loyal all the way through. You can make a good case he shouldn't have recused himself. The president certainly feels that way. But when you look at Jeff's overall contribution, when you look at the work they're doing cooperating with Homeland Security on rolling up MS-13 gangs all over America, you look at what Jeff is doing, taking on sanctuary cities and the liberal mayors who refuse to protect their citizens from criminals. There's a lot of good in Jeff Sessions, and I think it would be a big mistake for the president to in any way do anything except move forward with him.
Well, you wrote a book called Understanding Trump, and you know, when you look at him saying things like our beleaguered AG, and then talking to the Boy Scouts about how important loyalty is, and you know, his daughter-in-law spoke to us and basically said, you know, look, loyalty is the main factor here, and he clearly feels that Jeff Sessions threw him under the bus when he recused.
Right. I think he thinks Jeff Sessions made a huge mistake, and I think he believes as a result of that, he's in this enormous fight with Mueller that it would not probably have existed. So he's got a strong case here. On the other hand, I would just point out loyalty is a two-way street. And there's a point here where people have to say, if a guy was with you from the very beginning and he makes one big mistake,
I hear you.
Do you really dump him? And if you do, what signal do you send to everybody else on the team?
So talk to me about the sort of changing vibe, for lack of a better word, at the White House. You've got Sean Spicer out, Anthony Scaramucci in. There's discussions about maybe Rudy Giuliani, although he shot those down a bit today, and perhaps you coming into a more sort of outside role, inside role. Are you going to take a bigger role in this administration in any way?
Look, I'm going to try to be helpful in ways that the president finds useful. I'm focused very much now on getting a tax cut bill passed and signed into law by Thanksgiving. I think that's the most important project for Republicans in the next few months and key to the 2018 election. But let me just say, I think Scaramucci is a good choice for a reason that may surprise you. Scaramucci is a New Yorker. He's a businessman. He's a millionaire. He actually he's a natural fighter. He will take some of the pressure off Trump. I think Trump has felt, the president has felt, very beleaguered. He talked about the beleaguered Attorney General. I think the president's felt beleaguered because, frankly, this thing is so totally screwed up. It is so one-sided, and it is such a witch hunt that I'm totally sympathetic to the Trump position. I think it's absurd that the Republicans in Congress have not investigated the Clinton Foundation, the Clinton 33,000 emails, all of those things. You want to talk about Russian involvement? Then let's start with the Clinton Foundation. I think it's absurd that they haven't, and have frankly gone right at the Deputy Attorney General and said, tell us what it is Mueller is investigating. He's supposed to have a law. There's supposed to be some crime here that Mueller's investigating. Tell us what it is. I think that this thing is a witch hunt. I think the people that Mueller's hired are bad people. And I think that the president has every right to be very angry.
All right, I got to go. But will you have an official role or just the way you described it, sort of helping on the outside with tax reform and other things?
I like helping. I like helping.
You're very helpful. Thank you, Newt. Good to see you. So still ahead tonight, the Democrats are trying to take a page out of President Trump's playbook, perhaps, unveiling a new populist message ahead of 2018. But do they have politicians who can actually deliver that message? Plus, as we speak, GOP leaders are meeting behind closed doors about tomorrow's big health care vote. And earlier today, the president turned the heat up on the folks on the Hill in a big way. Congressman Jim Jordan joins me next.
Every member of the Senate, I say this: the American people have waited long enough. There's been enough talk and no action. Now is the time for action.
Now at the Honda Summerbration sales event, you can get a great deal on a Honda Accord. Then go out and have all sorts of summer adventures. A summer of fun awaits at the Honda Summerbration sales event. Hurry in and get a great deal on a Honda Accord from KBB.com's Best Value brand. Today at your local Honda dealer.
Introducing Lean 13 from Nutrisystem. Lose up to 13 pounds in your first month, guaranteed.
Go to Nutrisystem.com right now and get new NutriCrush bars to crush cravings free and Turbo Shakes to bust belly bloat free. Lose up to 13 pounds and 7 inches overall in your first month. Lose weight fast with Lean 13 from Nutrisystem.
Your first 13 pounds, gone.
Visit Nutrisystem.com and get new Lean 13 with bars and shakes free.
I love you, basement guest bathroom. Your privacy makes you my #1 place to go #2. I love you, but sometimes you stink. New Febreze Air Effects with Odor Clear technology cleans away odors like never before. Because the things you love the most can stink. And try Febreze Small Spaces to clean away odors for up to 30 days. Breathe happy with new Febreze.
Do you have bruised skin? You need Dermend Moisturizing Bruise Formula for mature skin. Dermend uses proven ingredients that help improve the appearance of bruises. Help your bruised skin. Get Dermend now at Walgreens, Walmart, CVS, and Rite Aid.
What is a vacation? A break, an escape. It's the place you dream of. Paradise. It's romance. It's choices. All included, all unlimited. No schedules, live the now. This is the time of your life. This is Sandals. Call 1-800-SANDALS.
My sweetheart's gone, sayonara. This scarf, all that's left to remember.
What? She washed this like a month ago. How's the guy supposed to move on?
The long-lasting scent of Gain. Now available in matching scents across your entire laundry routine.
It's happening. It's happening.
In the modern world, you can control just about anything with an app.
Your son is turning on all the lights again.
You can do the same with your car insurance with the eSurance mobile app. eSurance. Click or call.
Oh. Living with ammonia odor? Not a pretty picture. Luckily, Tidy Cat's lightweight with new ammonia blocker tackles tough odor, even ammonia.
So long, stink face.
Ammonia like that? There's a Tidy Cats for that.
When it comes to heartburn, trust the brand doctors trust. Nexium 24-Hour is the #1 choice of doctors and pharmacists for their own frequent heartburn and all-day, all-night protection. When it comes to heartburn, trust Nexium 24-Hour.
Budget meeting.
Sweet.
You compare last quarter.
It's no wonder everything seems a little better with the creamy taste of Philly, made with no artificial preservatives, flavors, or dyes. It must be the Philly.
Fox News Channel on Sirius XM. Your favorite shows on Channel 114. Plus, every story, every 15 minutes. Fox News headlines 24/7 at Channel 115.
By the way, you going to get the votes? He better get them. He better get them. Oh, he better. Otherwise, I'll say, Tom, you're fired. I'll get somebody.
Talking about Tom Price there. President Trump just moments ago joking around with the Health and Human Services Secretary. The president also ratcheting up the pressure on senators one day ahead of their critical vote on whether or not to proceed with the vote. So here now is Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, a founding member of the House Freedom Caucus. Congressman, good to see you tonight. Welcome.
Good to be with you, Martha.
So Tom Price's job is on the line, apparently. The president said he'd like to see this happen. And I know that you would like to see it happen, but you want to see the repeal happen first, right?
Well, we started that process last week in the House. Our leadership won't bring up the clean repeal, so we started a process to make an end run around them and actually bring the clean repeal, the same thing we voted on last Congress that we put on then President Obama's desk. Let's put that on President Trump's desk. After all, that's what we told the American people we were going to do. The president said he's for it. Vice President Pence has said he's for it. Senator Sass and other senators have said they're for it. So let's hope that that happens. If they get through the motion to proceed and call it up and it passes, that's great. Then we can take it up and pass it and do what we told the American people we were going to do.
But how much real support is there on the Senate side for a repeal-only bill?
You know, we don't know, but, you know, if you always believe the conventional wisdom, you never play the game. I always say that, you know, they kick the ball off on Friday night because sometimes the underdog beats the team that's favored. So the conventional wisdom is, oh, they wouldn't have the votes for it, even though they all voted for it just last Congress. So I say call it up, call the question, and sometimes in the light of day, in front of God and everybody, people actually vote different than what they say before the actual vote happens. So I hope we have the vote in both the House and the Senate. That's why we're starting the discharge petition to bring it to the floor.
Well, on the Senate side, you know, you make a good point, because back in 2015 on the Senate side, I think there were only 2 senators who voted against that, right?
Yeah, only one who's still there, Senator Collins. Obviously, Senator, one of the members who was in the House is now in the Senate. So 50 votes for it in the Senate. Yeah. And every single House member who was here, who came back, voted for it in the House. So now somehow, this is what drives voters crazy. Right. Somehow now when it counts, you can't.
If you write anything on your computer, you need to get Grammarly.
I write pretty much all day, every day, and Grammarly makes my writing better.
As a student, I like that it's free. It actually is correcting everything as I'm writing it.
Grammar errors, spelling errors, and even helps me find the right words to use so I can say what I want to say.
It catches all those embarrassing little mistakes before I hit send.
I downloaded Grammarly around my freshman year because I was just horrible at typing.
Grammarly is like my secret weapon for writing papers.
It's the perfect tool for your resume. You know, you don't want any errors when it's your first impression.
I use Grammarly for important emails, social media posts, which there are a lot of.
I've used every tool out there, and Grammarly is by far the best for improving your writing.
Grammarly is making me a better writer, and it's free.
I would recommend Grammarly if you're a student,
my family,
my peers, my colleagues.
It's like having your own personal proofreader for free.
Download Grammarly for free at Grammarly.com.
New developments this evening in a tragic story in Texas where 10 immigrants were essentially baked in a truck that was outside this Walmart. It is the most heart-wrenching story, and there are serious charges tonight for the driver. So we're going to talk about sanctuary cities and about this horrific, awful incident straight ahead. Plus, 8 months after they lost the White House, are the Democrats finally ready to move beyond just resisting? Chris Darwalt, Adrian Elrod, and Charles Hurt weigh in on the new messaging that they are trying. Here's a hint. Sounds a little bit like what we heard from President Trump. How will the shoe feel on the other foot?
When you lose elections, as we did in 2014 and 2016, you don't flinch. You don't blink. You look in the mirror and ask, what did we do wrong?
This is Crab Fest at Red Lobster, and right now, we're serving up more delicious crab than ever. Classic favorites like Crab Lover's Dream, and new dishes like Southern King Crab, and dueling crab legs with delicious Dungeness and sweet snow crab. It's all happening at Crab Fest. And Crab Fest is only happening at Red Lobster. Now this is seafood.
Trying to do too many things at the same time just doesn't work very well. That's why Trivago focuses on comparing hotels and works very hard at finding your ideal hotel for the best price. Hotel Trivago.
I make it easy to save $600 on car insurance, so being cool comes naturally. I can't decide if this place is swag or bling.
It's pretzels.
Word. Ladies, you know when you switch, you get my Bomb Diggity discounts automatically. No duh, right?
Sir, you forgot.
Keep it. You're gonna need it when I make it precipitate. What?
What?
It's just not the same with back pain. Dones relieves back pain.
Wow.
Dones. We've had your backs back since way back. Now available in a cream.
How we see, how we look. Great eyewear is all about both. Thoughtful design. Precision optics. Styles people love. At Zenni.com, we make it all stunningly affordable. So you can see the world the way it's meant to be seen. In perfect focus. Zenni.com. Eyewear for everyone.
When you have arthritis pain, you want a product that helps you feel normal. But this one claims to freeze away your pain. This one heats it away. This one promises to numb you. And this one doesn't even have an active ingredient. It's a moisturizing cream. Australian Dream doesn't do any of this because it's real medicine that effectively relieves arthritis pain. And Australian Dream doesn't make empty promises, just an empty jar guarantee. Use the whole jar. Not happy? Send it back for a refund. Get back to feeling normal again with Australian Dream.
Do you have trouble falling asleep or wake up with a sore neck or headache? Then it's time you discovered MyPillow.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Just like you, I had problems sleeping. 10 years ago, I invented MyPillow. It took me 2 years to develop because I wanted to have everything you would ever want in a pillow. I made sure that you could adjust my patented fill so you could have the exact support you need as an individual regardless of your sleep position. I also wanted a pillow that would last, so I made MyPillow machine washable and dryable. I back MyPillow with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Not only that, I do all my own manufacturing in my home state of Minnesota. I personally guarantee that MyPillow will be the most comfortable pillow you'll ever own. Take advantage of my famous offer and get 2 MyPillow premiums for one low price. Call or go to MyPillow.com. Be sure to use the promo code and I'll give you free shipping.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
3, 2, 1.
When this bell rings, it starts a chain reaction that's heard throughout the connected business world. AT&T Network Security helps protect business from the largest financial markets to the smallest transactions by sensing cyber attacks in near real time and automatically deploying countermeasures, keeping the world of business connected and protected. That's the power of AND.
So a better deal, that's what's being promised by Democrats today, unveiling a new economic agenda as they start looking forward to 2018. Watch.
Democrats know a better deal for hardworking men and women demands bigger, braver thinking to create jobs and raise incomes.
Trump campaigned on a populist platform, talking to working people. That's why he won. But as soon as he got into office, we Democrats are going to fill that vacuum.
This is one step that Democrats are offering to take back our government, and it's a darn good step.
So the party trying to present a forward-looking message after struggling to find rooting behind the resistance that they launched after the 2016 election and spent quite a bit of time on. The Democrats already find themselves behind in the money game. New numbers revealing what looks to be a bit of an enthusiasm gap for the GOP. Take a look at that. Cash on hand, $44 million for the RNC. Chris Darwalt is Fox News politics editor. Adrian Elrod is former director of strategic communications for the Clinton campaign. Charles Hurt is political columnist for the Washington Times and a Fox News contributor. Welcome to all of you. So obviously they've lost a bunch of special elections, and they've basically been dug into the resistance idea. And it seems now that it's occurred to Charles Schumer and others that maybe they need something more than that, Chris.
Yeah, and this is a good message for Democrats. This is, you know, when you lose, the economic argument to a billionaire from New York, you may have lost your touch at populism. Yeah, you may, to a Republican, nonetheless, you may have lost your touch at populism. So this message, which is very pragmatic, I won't say exactly moderate, but it is not a radical Bernie Sanders leftarian. These are useful talking points for Democratic House candidates that are running in the kinds of districts where they will need to win if they expect to have a reasonable shot at winning back the House next year.
I mean, most of it involves, you know, spending more money from the federal government or from companies. You're going to raise the minimum wage, Adrian, is one of the this, increase health care in a number of ways as well, programs for jobs, that kind of thing. I mean, I didn't think any of it's really revolutionary in terms of the ideas that Democrats adhere to, but they lost so many of their hard, you know, their sort of union blue-collar workers in the last round. They need to try to get them back.
Right. No, look, I agree with Chris on this. This is a great message for Democrats to be advocating for. Part of what we have talked about in the resistance that's formed since Donald Trump has become president is that we actually need to have a forward-thinking, positive message. Donald Trump did run on putting people back to work, especially in some of these what we call flyover states, states that have been in economic despair and have lost a lot of jobs. But since he came to office, he's done.
How did you find out about Boygo and kind of get into this job?
A friend of mine that I worked at the daycare with before coming here actually got hired on, and she gave me a call and said, I can bring my kid to work with me, why don't you look into it? So I did, and it was the best decision I could have made. Every day we have our set routine, we come to work together. I'm saving over $1,000 a month on daycare while making income, and I get to be with my kid every day. He's socializing as well as I'm working, so it's 2 hours away from sitting at home and doing nothing to actually working and making money and spending time with them too. On the bus, the kids going to school all fight over who's going to help him with his snacks or play with him, and they spoil him rotten. He gets adult interaction and kid interaction every day, and he enjoys it and I enjoy it.
Show, which is that it doesn't look good for Jeff Sessions if you read not even so much between the lines of the tweets. They're pretty much right out there. The beleaguered AG was just one of them, and then he was talking about loyalty to the Boy Scouts. Chris, it looks increasingly like they're going to find a way to try to nudge him out or get him to resign. Do you agree?
Well, what a humiliating, astonishing way to lay low Jeff Sessions, who, whatever people think about him in Congress, whether they agreed with him or disagreed with him in the Senate, an honorable man, a loyal man, a man who espouses his love for the Constitution, for the country. He's Donald Trump. He put that hat on when everybody told him it was career suicide. You can't do this. He's no good. And that was when Trump was a long shot, couldn't win. To see the depredations of Jefferson Beauregard Sessions through this and his service as Attorney General is a really sad thing. And it makes you understand why so few people really want to get in government and really want to get in public life, because you might end up abused and used like Jeff Sessions has been.
A couple names that are floated in this piece. Rudy Giuliani is one of them, Charlie. He said himself, apparently, to a reporter today that he thought that Sessions made the right decision when he recused himself from the Russia investigation, that he's not in the running. Ted Cruz is the other name that surfaces in this article as a possibility to follow up in his position.
And of course, the reason that Jeff Sessions recused himself has nothing to do with alleged ties to Russia, but the fact that he was a clear surrogate of the campaign itself. But I agree with Chris about Jeff Sessions is not and never has been the problem in Washington. The direction that President Trump has gotten from voters to come and clean up Washington, it's not about Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions is an ally in that, and it's unfortunate that he is kind of taken a wire brush to Jeff Sessions.
So, Adrian, what would the response be on the Democrat side if the president were to remove the attorney general in one way or the other, whether he resigns, however that would play out, and then possibly, there's also this discussion about Mueller and the sort of chain reaction that could happen if he decides to remove Sessions?
Well, look, I mean, first of all, Attorney General Sessions, regardless of what you think about him, did the right thing by recusing himself from this investigation. And what is so deeply troubling to me and many other Democrats and many Americans in general is the fact that Donald Trump simply has no regard for the way our justice system is set up. If he doesn't like the way somebody handles something, even if it's looking at an investigation independently, which of course is what Bob Mueller is doing, and we're starting to look at him being attacked by Trump and his surrogates as being somebody who, in their view, is not credible to conduct an investigation that should be independent, he fires them. So that in itself is incredibly disturbing. Right. Regardless of your party affiliation, everybody should be concerned that Donald Trump does seem to have a complete lack of disregard for our justice system.
All right. Adrian, Chris, and Charlie, thank you very much. Good to see you all.
Thank you.
So still ahead tonight, a tractor trailer found with 10 immigrants who lost their lives trapped in that sweltering truck. And now the driver could be facing the death penalty. Attorney Mark Eiglarsh on whether his excuse could save his life. And the race that sparked some serious backlash and disappointment over the weekend for the greatest Olympian of all time after this.
This program is brought to you by Stanley Steamer. Schedule online at stanleysteamer.com.
Our equipment cleans like no one else's, with no harmful residue left behind. And our cleaning solution meets rigorous EPA Safer Choice standards.
That's why I call. Call or go online for our $99 special.
Stanley Steamer, your certified cleaner.
You were just fired.
I have full custody.
I'm getting a lawyer.
With what money?
Charlotte Motor Speedway. I know how they move the money. We need a computer whiz.
I know everything there is to know about computers, okay? All the Twitters, I know them.
You Logans mustn't be as simple-minded as people say.
People say that.
Logan Lucky, rated PG-13, August 18th.
Across the country, we walk, carrying flowers that signify why we want to end Alzheimer's disease. But what if, one day, there was a white flower for Alzheimer's first survivor? What if there were millions of them? Join us for the Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's. Register today at alz.org/walk.
Home is where we bust a move. But when you bust something else, trust Angie's List to help. Get started at angieslist.com today.
Dating online can be a little bit scary. You know, these are strangers. These are strangers you've never met before.
I want my children to be social, but it's also important to me that they're safe.
We all look people up online,
but a basic web search might not give you the full story. What you may need is a background check. And now, thanks to Been Verified, background checks are no longer just for corporations.
I saw a commercial for Been Verified and decided I had to give it a try. Basic web searches do not compare to Been Verified.
Next time you do a search, don't just type in their name, search Been Verified, then search their name, and you may get the information that will matter to you.
It's important to show my girls that even mom does her homework.
Millions of public records are now right at your fingertips.
Rated T for Teen. This summer, only in theaters, watch Dunkirk, the story of the most daring rescue mission of World War II. Then continue the fight in World of Tanks as you expand your World War II experience in epic online multiplayer battles with authentic World War II tanks. Download and play for free at rememberdunkirk.com.
One cosmetic surgery specialist. In a single customized procedure, Sonobello gently removes fat and shapes your body for life-changing results.
I just never thought that I would get there. And look at me now.
This summer, get your best body with a group practice of over 100 board-certified plastic surgeons across more than 40 locations nationwide. Call 888-317-1425 to schedule your free no-obligation consultation. For a limited time, we're offering an amazing summer special. Book before September 15th and get one area free. That's your love handles, thighs, even your chin, absolutely free. With affordable financing plans, Sonobello fits almost any budget. Call for your free no-obligation consultation today and find out how to get one area free. Call 888-317-1425 now.
So this story developing tonight, a truck driver could be facing the death penalty after 10 illegal immigrants died being smuggled into the back of his tractor trailer that was parked outside a Walmart in San Antonio, Texas. We're now learning that up to 100 people may have been packed inside that sweltering truck. But the driver, James Bradley Jr., claims that he did not know that anybody was being snuck into the country in his truck. So joining us now, criminal defense attorney Mark Eiglarsh, on whether that excuse can hold up. I mean, Mark, this is just a tragically sad story. It was over 100 degrees in that truck, and apparently they were taking turns, letting each other breathe through a hole that was in the side of the wall. I mean, just an excruciating story. But legally, what does it mean?
Yeah. Well, you're going to expect to hear from him this defense. It happens with many of my clients who traffic in either guns, human beings, drugs. You're caught red-handed. So the question is, what's your defense? I didn't know. Okay, so then the burden, I think, falls on the government to prove that he did know. So what are the facts? Are any of the surviving immigrants saying that they had any contact with him at all, that he would have known? The physical truck versus the rig. Is there any way that he knew or should have known that they were back there prior to him getting out at the Walmart and going in to urinate and then hearing all the screaming and then he opens it up? Is there a single witness that can say, no, he knew. I told him to traffic these people over here and I'd pay him for it? These are the questions that have to be answered. If you don't have that, then this is a reasonable hypothesis of innocence.
I mean, if he thought the truck was empty and there's 100 people in it, Mark, and he's a truck driver, he's going to know whether or not there's something in the back of his truck.
Well, then there you go. I mean, that's enough for you. But I'm not sure. I don't know enough about trucks. Is that the case? Would he know? I don't know. And so as a defense attorney, I want to go out there. I want to look at the rig. I want to look at the truck. Is there any way as he's driving to know that there are people back there or not?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what about the responsibility
on them.
Of sanctuary cities, which in essence, by their policies, are encouraging people to come into their cities and, come to the areas to find work. And there's been some discussion that they bear some of the burden in these cases, because this is clearly not isolated, that they bear some of the burden here as well.
And people are entitled to feel morally they bear a responsibility, and maybe civilly they do, money. Criminally, absolutely not, unless they played any kind of role. But I'm waiting to see what happens on Thursday. Thursday is when the government will have what we call a pretrial detention hearing. They've got to put forth sufficient evidence to show that he knew. Because right away he told investigators, I didn't know. So how does he know? You're convinced, well, he should know because he should know what's back there. I'm not that convinced, Martha.
Well, we'll see. It just seems to me if you're a truck driver, you're going to know whether or not your truck is empty by the way it's riding, and you're going to know if there's 100 people in the back of it. But as you say, we don't know, and the process is just beginning. So we'll see. Mark, thank you very much. Good to see you tonight. Thanks for coming.
Martha. Same here.
So coming up next, it was supposed to be one of the greatest sports events of all time. It's Shark Week, don't you know? But it turned out to be a big disappointment to a lot of people, including some of you, I bet. We will show you what happened coming up next.
We're going to set Michael up a 100-meter trap in the white shark's realm.
It leads to this moment. I'm going to test my speed versus shark.
Today, we're out here with some big news about type 2 diabetes. You have type 2 diabetes, right?
Yes.
So let me ask you this. How does diabetes affect your heart?
It doesn't, does it?
Actually, it does. Type 2 diabetes can make you twice as likely to die from a cardiovascular event like a heart attack or stroke. And with heart disease, your risk is even higher. You didn't know that? No. Yeah. But wait, there's good news for adults who have type 2 diabetes and heart disease. Jardiance is the only type 2 diabetes pill with a life-saving cardiovascular benefit. Jardiance is proven to both significantly reduce the chance of dying from a cardiovascular event in adults who have type 2 diabetes and heart disease and lower your A1C.
Jardiance can cause serious side effects, including dehydration. This may cause you to feel dizzy, faint, or lightheaded, or weak upon standing. Ketoacidosis is a serious side effect that may be fatal. Symptoms include nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, tiredness, and trouble breathing. Stop taking Jardiance and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of ketoacidosis or an allergic reaction. Symptoms of an allergic reaction include rash, swelling, and difficulty breathing or swallowing. Do not take Jardiance if you are on dialysis or have severe kidney problems. Other side effects are sudden kidney problems, genital yeast infections, increased bad cholesterol, and urinary tract infections, which may be serious. Taking Jardiance with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take and if you have any medical conditions.
So now you know all that, what do you think?
That it's time to think about Jardiance.
Ask your doctor about Jardiance and get to the heart of what matters.
Nick was born to move. Not necessarily after 3 toddlers with boundless energy. But lower back pain won't stop him from keeping up. Because at a Dr. Scholl's kiosk, he got a recommendation for our best custom-fit orthotic to relieve his foot, knee, or lower back pain from being on his feet by reducing shock and stress on his body with every step. So look out, world. Dad's taking charge. Dr. Scholl's, born to move.
I love kiwis. I've always had that issue with the seeds getting under my denture. Super Polygrip Free, it creates a seal of the dentures in my mouth.
Just a few dabs is clinically proven to seal out more food particles. Try Super Polygrip Free.
Introducing Lean 13 from Nutrisystem. Lose up to 13 pounds in your first month, guaranteed.
Lose your first 13 pounds fast with Lean 13 from Nutrisystem.
Your 13 can turn into 20, 30, 50, even more. I'm Marie and I lost 50 pounds on Nutrisystem.
Order your 28-day plan right now and we'll rush you Lean 13. Get specially designed meals plus 1 week of new NutriCrush bars to crush cravings free. And 1 week of Turbo Shakes to bust belly bloat free.
Bye-bye, stubborn belly fat.
Plus FedEx shipping absolutely free. With Lean 13, you'll lose up to 13 pounds fast. Lose weight fast. Money back guaranteed.
Belly fat? Busted. Stubborn extra inches? Gone. Unhealthy pounds? Lose them.
Now you can improve your health and have more energy with Nutrisystem.
Your first 13 pounds? Gone.
Go online or call 1-888-640-SIZE right now and get Lean 13 with bars and shakes free.
Trivago makes it easy for you to find the ideal hotel for the best price. Just go to Trivago, type in where you want to go, and with 2 clicks, select your check-in and check-out dates and search. You can then easily compare all the hotel rooms that meet your search criteria and find the room that is ideal for you. Remember, Trivago shows you all the different prices for the exact same room. And that's how you can be sure that you find your ideal hotel for the best price. Hotel Trivago.
Tomorrow, America wants tax cuts, and Newt Gingrich is leading the charge inside his new push to get reform done now. Neil has all the details on your world, followed by powerful conversation on the Fox News specialists.
It was a Shark Week letdown. It was billed as one of the greatest matchups of all time. Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps was going to race a great white shark through the open ocean. The 100-meter high-stakes race finally took place last night. Watch how they did it. So that was not a real shark, was it? In fact, it was faker than robotic jaws. A lot of viewers were left very upset. A real cheetah and won. And in 2007, football player Chad Johnson took on a racehorse and won. That's what we're talking about here. So Phelps wants a rematch. Can we build an impenetrable lane that maybe can make this happen? Send me your ideas on Twitter. How can we see this happen in the water? We will see you back here at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. One Tucker Carlson coming up right now. Have a good night.
Well, good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Jared Kushner testified before the Senate Intelligence Committee today and then spoke with many reporters right after. Watch.
Let me be very clear. I did not collude with Russia, nor do I know of anyone else in the campaign who did so. I had no improper contacts. Donald Trump had a better message and ran a smarter campaign, and that is why he won.
Ever heard Jared Kushner's voice before? Most people hadn't. You'll hear a lot more from him in a minute. But first, there's other news today. Democrats say they finally get it. They know why they lost the last election, and it was not actually because of Russian saboteurs. As Senator Chuck Schumer put it today in the New York Times op-ed, they lost because they failed to articulate an economic message that the middle class cared about. Now, to underscore that point, Schumer and House Leader Nancy Pelosi held their noses and ventured out into rural Clark County, Virginia today, a place they'd probably never been, but a place that voted for Trump by almost 20 points in November. While there, they unveiled a plan they are calling a better deal. It's basically the kind of soft economic populism that, in fact, Trump ran on in the fall, and pretty successfully. Things like lowering prescription drug prices, more attention to blue-collar jobs, an infrastructure plan for rural America. Interestingly, so far at least, there is not a single word about, I don't know, global warming, transgender bathrooms, bombing Moscow. It doesn't look very crazy, actually, and it might work if Democrats really meant it. But do they? Well, actually, we can check that. We have the tape. Here's what leading Democrats have been talking about in public over just the past 24 hours.
The president is clearly worried that Bob Mueller is going to be looking into allegations, for example, that the Russians may have laundered money through the Trump organization.
There's a cloud of illegitimacy that's hanging over the White House as a result of the possibility that there was improper or illegal collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia.
This drip, drip, drip of information, these revelations are doing exactly what I've already predicted, and that is it's going to lead right to impeachment.
Right to impeach. We're going to have a lot more on Maxine Waters later in the show, but wait a second. Where's the part about raising middle-class wages or rebuilding rural America? If that is such a priority for Democrats, why haven't they mentioned any of it in, I don't know, the last year? Today's supposed to be the launch of this new economic message, but flip on any of the other news channels, most of which are reliable barometers of what's important to Democrats. Do you hear anybody talking about the heroin crisis in New Hampshire or the lack of good-paying work in downstate Illinois? No, you don't. That's because they're talking instead about what they're always talking about. Trump's immoral, Vladimir Putin stole the election. That's the message, and for the foreseeable future, it will remain the message. Congressman David Cicilline helped launch the Better Deal message. He represents the proud state of Rhode Island and joins us tonight. Congressman, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So I think this is the obvious message that Democrats should have run on in November. The middle class is dying. Someone needs to represent them. Democrats took a pass, ran on identity politics and frivolous, stupid issues. And Trump filled the void. But you can't convince me that your voters care about this stuff, because if they did, they would have demanded you talk about it last election.
You know, this agenda, which we announced today, which is an agenda both from the House and the Senate, came about as a result of doing a lot of listening to our members who are home every weekend, listening to their constituents, and really understand that it's important that voters and the American people hear what Democrats are committed to do to raise people's wages, to create good-paying jobs so that people have a bright future. And so this better deal is really about how do we increase people's incomes, how do we reduce the cost of people's expenses in health care, in child care, in the things that people spend money on. And this is a very bold agenda that will do that. And I think you're going to hear Democrats continue to talk about it. It's our #1 priority to do all that we can to improve the lives of working people. We're obviously in the minority, so you know whether we can move this stuff or not, but I think it's important for the American people to say, if you elect Democrats, if you give us the responsibility of leadership, we will focus on raising incomes, rebuilding the middle class, reducing the costs in people's lives.
I get it. I mean, by the way,
and you said it was not crazy, so that's almost an endorsement.
Not only is it not crazy, that's the message.
That's right. But it's not just a message. No. I want to be careful.
Okay.
This is about our agenda.
Those are the plans. Right. Look, I'm not belittling it at all.
No.
I agree with it.
Right.
Trump just ran on it and won.
Well, the
that's
difference
what Trump
is we're actually going to do it.
Okay, but
the president
answer
isn't
my question.
doing it.
Answer
That's
my
the
question. And, you know, I guess if I was rooting for Democrats, I would hope that you would. I don't think you will for a couple of reasons, but the obvious question is, why didn't you run on that in the last election, and why haven't you been talking about it even today? I haven't heard a single Democrat other than you and Schumer and Pelosi talk about it.
You heard there were a lot of Democrats. Jim Himes talked about it this morning. Barbara Lee talked about it.
Why haven't they been talking about it?
I think Democrats are talking about it. What the point of putting together this Democratic agenda was so that we can more effectively make our case to the American people of what we stand for, what we're fighting for. You're going to hear a lot more about this as we roll out different parts of this agenda. But I think Democrats have been talking about what we can do to raise folks' income, to rebuild the middle class of our country, to deal with the escalating costs of prescription drugs.
Well, then let me ask you an obvious question.
And by the way, we obviously didn't do it effectively because we lost the election.
I don't think y'all did it at all. And I always wondered why, because it's such an obvious message. But hold on. How can you argue that economic case and argue for basically unrestrained low-wage immigration, which is your position?
No, we don't. First of all, that is not my position, #1. #2, what we're talking about here is raising people's incomes, reducing the cost of people's expenses, creating good pathways for careers and job training.
Question. And it's really simple. High levels of low-wage immigration depress wages.
Democrats have always supported
a guess. We know that.
Comprehensive immigration reform that will fix our broken immigration system.
Why would you want millions of people here competing with low-wage American workers?
Millions of people are here, and the question is, what do we do about that?
Is that good for American wages?
Immigrants add tremendously to the economy of our country. Of course it is.
Do the 10 million illegal immigrants here help raise American wages?
The 10 million people who are here need a pathway to citizenship. We need
so now I know which is more important.
No.
That was just a simple question. Are the rights of illegals in America more important, or is
we want an economy that works for every hardworking American, that raises people's income, that will reduce the costs in their lives, and that will give them the skills and apprenticeships.
We all want that.
And by the way, we also want comprehensive immigration reform. There's a bipartisan bill supported by Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, Republicans who don't care about middle-class wages.
No, that's not true. These are Republicans.
Okay, then
Democrats
just stop. Can we just get back to reality really quickly and away from the talking points? Will you concede that decades of social science have shown conclusively that if you flood a labor market with low-wage workers, wages go down?
No, I don't. Absolutely
you don't
not
believe in
accept
supply
that.
And demand.
I do not accept the fact that immigrants who have come to this country for the same reason my great-grandfather came, to build a better life for their families, are a drain on society. In fact, they contribute enormously
so now we're
to the economy of our
So you're not. Congressman, here's a question for you. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says that it's Clinton to stop blaming her loss on sinister Russian forces. In an interview with the Washington Post, here's what Schumer said, quote, when you lose to somebody who's got 40% popularity, other things, Comey, you blame yourself. What did we do wrong? People didn't know what we stood for, just that we were against Trump, and they still that?
I think it is absolutely essential that Democrats make it very clear what we stand for, what we are willing to fight for, and what we will achieve, what we'll accomplish on behalf of working families if we are given the responsibilities of leadership. I think that's what this agenda does.
Which working families from this country or people here illegally?
Working families in America, where we will raise people's wages,
citizens?
invest in... Well, people who live in America.
So really quick.
Everybody's
Is it more important to look after American citizens or people here who are not citizens?
We should absolutely have policies which support American citizens. We should have comprehensive immigration
But if it comes down to which is more important?
You don't have to pick.
Yes,
we're an integrated economy. You can't say, well, sell you this good, but we won't sell it to you based on...
No, because we let in 1.2 million new people every year.
The system by having comprehensive immigration reform, which Republicans and Democrats support, but we can't get a vote on it.
I think you need to think this through just a tiny bit more.
So do you. You need to think of the value and the contribution that immigrants make.
Congressman, thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
For more reaction to the Democrats' better deal, we're joined by someone who's thought a lot about it, author and columnist Charles Krauthammer. Charles, do they mean it?
I think they do. I mean, Democrats for 100 years have been portrayed themselves, saw themselves, starting with FDR, as the party of the working class. I think the problem for Democrats is they've been living off their glory years for the last 20 or 30. You know, in the mid-20th century, they did things for the country. They invented Social Security.
Right.
They decided the elderly should not be destitute. They're the ones who gave us Medicare, Medicaid. But as Daniel Patrick Moynihan wrote in the late 1970s, the Democrats, who were the party of ideas for 3 generations, out of ideas, and it's the Republicans, conservatives, who came up with the ideas in the Reagan days. And it seems to me the Democrats are still living off that legacy. I mean, I have no objections to anything in the program that you have heard outlined. I'm rather amused that it's a better deal, meaning, you know, we had the fair deal, so deal seems to work for us, so let's try it again. This is stuff. Minimum wage, for example. These are old policies that are now being put together in some kind of ideological framework, but it doesn't really work. We just raising the minimum wage.
No, it does. It's a math question. It doesn't work. But the orientation toward the middle class seems a good idea. Is that possible, though, if your party is based on identity politics? Identity politics is about hating the middle class.
It seems to me they went to identity politics because they ran out of larger national ideas. For 3 generations, they worked on the idea of a safety net, of a social network around people supported by the government. They brought us into the modern world because before FDR, we really had a government that could have been, I mean, it wasn't that different from the government of the founders. The problem is, where do they go? They have their heart perhaps in the working class, but what are their ideas? It seems to me the only people with real ideas is the left, the Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
That's an argument that's got comprehensiveness to it. We want to go the way of Western Europe. That may not be the greatest society on earth, but that's their ideal. You start with national health care. That's not in the program that was outlined now. But national health care, the government runs everything. And that's sort of the staple. That's sort of the tent pole for that. The idea is the government will take care of you. High taxation, high regulation, and that's what the Western Europe is the model of. It's not a terrible place to live. It's not a hellhole, but it's not America. America's rather different. We have a much higher attachment to the idea of liberty than we do to equality. There's no Statue of Equality in New York Harbor. Statue of Liberty. We're different that way.
I think de Blasio is working on one.
Yeah, but that's why he's failing. It's not going to work in this country. So, in other words, all I'm saying is this is a modest attempt to get back to the ideal objectives of liberalism, but it's such a step that on the far left, I don't see how it works.
Well, a party comprised of the rich and the poor cannot become the middle-class party. I mean, I wish them luck.
And that's why they turned to identity politics. It was a substitute for thinking in national terms.
Charles Krauthammer, thank you.
My pleasure.
Jared Kushner spoke behind closed doors to a Senate committee today and had some words for the press. We'll show you what he said coming up Plus, Maxine Waters says her critics, including this show, are a bunch of racists. That's a response to the question we asked, which is, how'd she buy a $4.3 million house on a public servant's salary? We'll unpack that a little bit coming up.
COPD makes it hard to breathe. So to breathe better, I go with a Noro.
COPD tries to say go this way. I say I'll go my own way with a Noro.
Once daily Anoro contains 2 medicines called bronchodilators that work together to significantly improve lung function all day and all night. Anoro is not for asthma. It contains a type of medicine that increases risk of death in people with asthma. The risk is unknown in COPD. Anoro won't replace rescue inhalers for sudden symptoms and should not be used more than once a day. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition, high blood pressure, glaucoma, prostate, bladder, or urinary problems. These may worsen with Anoro. Call your doctor if you have worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain while taking Anoro.
Ask your doctor about Anoro.
Get your first prescription free at Anoro.com.
I really like this hotel room, and I'd like to book it. With Trivago, I can book it here, here, or here. And it's also good to know that if I book it here, I pay the lowest price for this hotel room. Hotel Trivago.
It's me and my best friend. Owning new Tena Intimates has pro skin technology designed to quickly wick away moisture to help maintain your skin's natural balance. For a free sample, call 1-877-GET-TENA.
Whoa! You're not taking these.
Hey. You're not taking those.
Whoa. You're not taking that. Come with me.
You're not taking that.
You're not taking that.
You're not taking that.
Mom, I'm taking the Subaru.
Don't be late. Even out there to keep them safe, Outback will be.
Love. What makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Fox News Channel on Sirius XM. Your favorite shows on Channel 114. Plus, every story, every 15 minutes. Fox News headlines 24/7 at Channel 115. Sarah Huckabee Sanders on The Story. From Trump's media battles to his big Ohio rally, Martha gets insight from the new press secretary tomorrow.
He's using a CPAP machine for his sleep apnea. Now he sleeps like a baby. But if it isn't cleaned well, it could make him sick. I'm so relieved we found the So Clean sanitizer.
I'm Dr. Specialist. I recommend So Clean to my patients because it kills 99.9% of bacteria and germs, significantly reducing the risk of infection from an improperly cleaned CPAP.
Just drop the mask, walk away. No more taking it apart and washing by hand every day. So Clean safely sanitizes and disinfects your mask, hose, and reservoir without any harsh chemicals and works on all popular. Try the world's first automated CPAP sanitizer risk-free for 30 days. Call 800-390